Everyone, welcome to the Tuesday, June 10th, 2025 business meeting of the Athens-Clarke County Mayor and Commission. We'll go ahead and begin with a roll call.
Davenport. Link.
Here.
Taylor. Wright.
Present.
Fisher. Here. Johnson. Culpepper.
Here.
Myers.
Here.
Thornton.
Here.
Hamby.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. All right, we'll begin as always with the civility pledge provided to us by the Georgia Municipal Association. This indicates that the way we govern ourselves is often as important as the positions we take, that our collective decisions will be better when differing views have had the opportunity to be fully vetted and considered, that all people have the right to be treated with respect, courtesy, and openness, that we value all input, and we commit to conduct ourselves at all times with civility and courtesy to each other. We have two public hearings tonight, but before we get to that, I would entertain a motion from the body to just reverse old and new business when we get to actions so that we can take care of those minor items first.
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Wright, second from Commissioner Fisher. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. All right, as I mentioned, we have two segments of public input. The first segment is our state-required Taxpayer Bill of Rights hearing, in which we ask members of the public to speak to the fiscal 2026 budget. The second segment after that will be public input on other matters of old or new business. And for both occasions, there's a clock in front of the clerk, and it will provide each speaker 3 minutes a segment. The clock will turn green when you begin speaking, yellow when you have 30 seconds remaining, and red when your 3 minutes has expired, and I'll thank you for your time with us. If everybody would make sure that if they are providing public input, fill out one of those speaker cards, and you can just slide it in the little kiosk that you see there, right behind Assistant Manager Ilka McConnell, and that'll make sure that we accurately capture your name for the record. And when you speak, just please let us know who you are and your place of residence. So again, the first public hearing and opportunity for public input is regarding the FY 2026 budget. So anybody who's interested in that, if you just line up behind the podium, and we'll begin taking input. All right. Good evening. Again, give us your name and place of residence, and then your 3 minutes will begin.
Hey, everybody. Good to see you. I'm Timmy Conley. Residence is 260 Spalding Circle. Let's see. I'm here to speak on a funding item that is for special events. So the Athens Special Events receive money through a CEP fund. That's a Community Enhancements Project fund that's managed by the ADDA. So Kelly, I believe you put $250,000 in that for us this year in your budget, correct? We were looking to get an increase this year. It's been a couple of years since we had that increase to $250,000. That increase has been incredible for events, and with rising costs, et cetera, and events that are getting larger every year, we've needed that. So the CEP money that goes to the ADDA comes from the Hotel Motel Fund, right? So last year, we observed that the Hotel Motel Fund was $5.8 million. And so that $250K that we received amounted to, or equated to 4% of that, the possible money. So our ask this year, and we emailed you and Kelly about that, hope you saw it, was for $500,000 this year, which would have been 8% of that Hotel Motel Fund. So felt that that was pretty reasonable, especially given the Classic Center receiving 80% of that money last year. And also that Visit Athens, Georgia uses our events as the signature or lifestyle-defining things that make Athens Athens when the city is promoting itself in terms of tourism. So if you notice, they sent out a blast today, the Visit Athens people did. And at the top of the email, it said the jewels of June, and it was Hot Corner and AthFest. And that's typical for a month in Athens, for the events to be given the top billing for what our city is defining itself by and what we're promoting. And that also is, of course, bringing people into Athens. So I formed a group. There was a special events sort of a committee. And it's got the Wild Rumpus, AthFest, Twilight, Pride, Latinx, Hot Corner, MLK Parade, and a bunch of other people that want to do events downtown. And we did some research on comparable cities and found out that, like, say, Chattanooga is doing almost $600,000 for special events. Another city that's comparable to us, Gainesville, Florida, $1.2 million.
Thank you, Timmy. I appreciate you coming out tonight.
All right, thank you so much.
Good evening.
Hey, so Timmy reached out and asked me to come speak. I'm speaking on behalf of Flicker Theater and Bar, and my name's Kim Long. And I am a huge supporter of the music scene in Athens. It's kind of our main thing, our main vibe. But what I want to really speak to is that the events downtown have been tremendous. It's really shifted and gotten people out who normally don't come out, and they've got to see the character of Athens and all the really great things that are going on and all the hard work and all the buildup and all the different things that has really made a difference for downtown. That people had chose not to come downtown because it was hard to find parking or all these other things. But these events have been tremendous, bringing people back out, and they get excited again about coming downtown. In our business alone, like the liquor excise tax, the sales tax, we invest so much in this community through different fundraisers that we do for the music scene and for the musicians, and more events and more funding for that would be great, so we could resurrect some of the really old music festivals that we used to do. The Pop Fest and the Slingshot for South by Southwest and all this, that really helps to support musicians and get more people in to see what we're doing here, because we really want to lean in. You guys advertise the Music City, we're supporting it, but this is a great way to really build and really do more. And there's so much coming in with the hotel and this people stays for these big events, and that really helps us as a small business, and we want to really build that. And I'm working with other small mom and pops in town to try to figure out how we can kind of really help all the little independent music venues so we can do well. And this would be a great way to help us and to help that, really keep that local community and businesses alive. And so that's my part.
Thank you, Ms. Long. Good evening.
Hey there. John Marsh, 310 Holman Avenue, Athens. I'm here to speak on the behalf of all the homeowners and property taxpayers here in Clarke County. And so this proposed budget and millage rate is going above the rollback rate of basically about 60% more than the rate of inflation. And so, we're talking about, maybe another $95 or something else on a home. Well, $95 is a dinner out for a family, maybe even two of them. And so that starts to be meaningful to a lot of families when they're trying to afford homes, saying, hey, I want to try and buy a home here, I want to live here in Athens. But we start pricing people out as we just keep every year increasing the budget. We try and say, we're rolling it back, but you're really rolling back the millage rate because of the increase in assessments, not rolling it back. It's more than keeping up with inflation and growth and all of that. The way the formula works, it's looking at the increase in assessments for properties that haven't changed hands. And, and it's asking you to roll that back in accordance with the inflation rate. But all the new properties, all of the growth there, the growth in commercial properties, all of that is going on the digest and not a part of this rollback. So I ask y'all to roll this back and actually keep with it and keep this rollback to the regular rollback rate. The budget is an issue of priorities and where you decide to put your money and spend the money. And so if you want to prioritize things, you could blow every money, you could double the taxes, and you could still find ways to blow it. People can always blow money. That's the truth of the matter. But I ask you to keep it within the confines of this rollback rate and keep us growing so that our spending is not increasing faster than inflation and our population growth. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Allison Smith, and I reside in District 6. Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm here representing both myself as a member of the Wild Rumpus Board of Directors and the wider community who believe deeply in the power of Athens special events. These events bring people together. They unite our community. They define the spirit of Athens. They're free to attend, inclusive, and enjoyed by all ages. But passion alone doesn't pay for porta potties. Many events are barely scraping by, even as they grow in popularity. With costs rising, sponsorships shrinking, they need more support than ever. We're asking for $500,000 in CEP funding, not to do more of the same, but to do it better, more sustainably, and with the care that these events deserve. Without support, many events turn to alcohol sponsors, not because it's the best option, but because they offer the most funding. And while we're grateful for that support, it can change things. It can make events feel less family-focused, less like a space where everyone belongs. Events like the Wild Rumpus, Athfest, and Pride don't just draw crowds. They support local business, create jobs, draw in more people to visit Athens, and keep money flowing within our community, from local vendors to the families that they support. And more than that, they celebrate everything that makes Athens unique, not just our college town energy and game day traditions, but our deep roots in art, music, culture, and community. We're not asking for extravagance. We're asking the city to recognize that these events are not extras. They are essentials. This modest increase would help us grow, innovate, and continue bringing energy, connection, and opportunity to our city. I'll end with this question. If we don't increase CEP funding and invest in these events, what does Athens look like without them? Does it remain a place known for its celebration of art, music, and diversity? Or does it become just another college town with a reputation that no longer reflects who we really are? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Smith. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Felix Bell. I live in District 8. I'm here today to talk about the budget proposals from Carol Myers and Mike Hamby, including the one I learned about this morning. I'm a little bit concerned that we are going to be restricting the movement of certain peoples in our town, and that sets a dangerous precedent. I'm a first-generation American from a proud family of immigrants, and I serve you all as the Vice Chair of the Public Safety Civilian Oversight Board. But tonight, I'm here to represent my personal views and those alone. I'm grateful for your service devising more ways to alleviate the burden of property tax, as this will reduce the displacement of elderly and long-term residents, as well as other housing insecure households. This is a crucial step to keeping Athenians saved and housed, and I appreciate that. What will not keep us safe is funding the Real-Time Crime Center. This will increase and validate the use of over-policing through surveillance, often through private vendors who act outside of and above open information laws, which will increase political violence against Athenians. In particular, Black, Brown, Indigenous, and transgender Athenians are most at risk. Over-policing goes directly against local policy, which alleges a community-based policing model. The research is clear. AI facial recognition and database analysis is biased against people like me. This will put myself and my family at risk of harm. What's worse is that the source of harm does not need to come from home or indeed from within state lines. One such private camera vendor, Flock, can be accessed and has been accessed by ICE and other federal agencies, even in areas where it is illegal to do so. They do this by collaborating with local agencies across the country for whom it is legal, because the databases are all connected. The databases connecting these private vendors cross state lines and have essentially no oversight. Current state and local law enforcement policy is ambiguous and incomplete, but I am working on recommendations to strengthen it. These private companies combine information from numerous online sources, including social media and facial recognition, which is famously inaccurate when identifying Black and transgender people, using a program called CloudView, and ultimately AI-driven software from Palantir called Gotham. Large amounts of data at the national level have been compromised by Doge, D-O-G-E. We do not yet know the consequences of these compromised systems. I urge you to research the implications of this further, as federal legislature is encouraging a 10-year ban on AI limitations, and these companies have heavy overseas investment ties with entities who benefit from an unstable America, and an unstable America is an unstable Athens. The ACLU explicitly recommends pushing against this kind of surveillance with aggressive policy changes and oversight. Other cities are reconsidering their contract with Flock et al. Now that they have proof of ICE access. I must urge you to reconsider this part of the budget plan, and instead, if you would like to champion public safety, redirect these funds to the Public Defender's Office, or indeed do anything to reduce our jail population. Our Public Defender's Office is drowning with only one paralegal for 20 attorneys and will not be able to handle the increase in arrests now that the police department is so well staffed from receiving all the leftover ARPA funds.
Thank you, Felix. I appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hello. My name's Mary Joyce. I live at 1205 Town Square Court. I am the executive director of AthFest Educate, so we put on AthFest and the Half Marathon and 5K every year, and I am here to speak on the special events funds. I am a success story of Athens special events. I visited this town to interview at UGA and stumbled into AthFest, and I moved here, and I've lived here for 20 years. I have bought a house. I have 3 kids in CCSD, and that wouldn't have happened without that special event. Later that year, I stumbled into Twilight, and it made me want to stay. A year later, a friend texted me and said, we're somehow meeting up in the Caledonia parking lot to do a march for Halloween around downtown, which became Wild Rumpus. These events bring folks here. These events make people stay here, and I can testify that. I was looking at the American for the Arts Economic Prosperity Arts Calculator, and just for AthFest, our annual event, local government revenue is estimated at over $44,000 for our weekend. State government revenue, over $50,000 for AthFest. Total economic impact, over $970,000 for that one weekend. Here's the thing though, AthFest is okay. We're gonna be okay. We have features where people can pay extra to get extra things. Same with the Half Marathon, we're okay. But increasing this funding from the city supports things like Hot Corner, Pride, which couldn't be in downtown last year for their actual festival because it was too expensive. Things like MLK Day, Juneteenth. These are vital. AthFest is going to be okay, but we should leverage our excellent events that are bringing in so many people in order to fund the events that really need that financial support. So please, dittoing the folks before me, please approve increasing that amount for funding. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Joyce. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Daria Kalantari. I live at 120 Winter Circle. Let's be quick and easy. I'm here to support Commissioner Meyer's budget proposal, and I do not agree with Commissioner Hamby's proposal because there's not been enough time for community input on it. It's also unclear how funds are being earmarked for traffic management for some neighborhoods and not for others. So I urge the commissioners to vote for Commissioner Meyer's budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Dara.
Appreciate it.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you for letting me talk. My name is Eric Sanderson. I live at 115 Summerwood Place, and I have similar concerns about the most recent budget proposal, especially how the funds are being earmarked for certain neighborhoods outside of the regular prioritization policy, and the lack of time for community input I also share that concern. So I would urge you to support Commissioner Meyer's budget proposal, which has been available and I think is a very reasonable and responsible budget. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Eric. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Teresa Friedlander, 115 Middleton Place, and I'm here tonight because I have heard that there may be a proposal put on the table to use some SPLOST 2018 and 2023 funds for reasons that really have not had a public airing at all. I don't know the status of where the proposals are at this point, so I'm just going to say a few things. I know that producing a budget for a city of any size is complicated and fraught, and there are always going to be constituencies who do not agree with the result. Athens-Clarke is the smallest Georgia county geographically, and we really don't have a sufficient tax base to meet the needs of the community. So a lot of things like stormwater, culvert, pavement, traffic signal, and municipal building maintenance are underfunded and often delayed. Sidewalks, shared use paths, and bike lanes come from SPLOST, which voters must approve. And Athens-Clarke uses some SPLOST funds to pay for some of the delayed maintenance I referenced before. SPLOST projects submitted by residents or on behalf of residents require significant investments of time and adherence to a process. There is time spent with proposal development, staff reviews, proposal revisions, advisory committee reviews, alternate proposal development and staff review, final advisory committee reviews and votes, presentation to mayor and commission, city manager and attorney reviews, mayor and commission final vote on the package, and then goes on the ballot for the citizens to vote. So when a SPLOST passes in an election, Athens-Clarke residents look forward to improvements in the public rights-of-way, which may reduce fatalities and improve the comfort for all users. Large SPLOST projects take years to move from funding to completion for reasons including lack of personnel at all levels of management, right-of-way acquisitions, utility relocation, and politics. Meanwhile, inflation eats away at the SPLOST funds collected for specific projects. At the same time, interest accumulates in the accounts, which partially offsets the loss to inflation. According to our Transportation and Public Works Department, a mile of sidewalk costs roughly $2 million. There are funded SPLOST projects in North Athens, East Athens, Westchester, Sycamore, Stonehenge for badly needed and community-supported sidewalks that $6 million, or whatever the current number is, could pay for. So my advice is please, don't touch the SPLOST. I'm very concerned that doing so could be viewed as an act of bad faith by the voters who support these projects. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Friedlander. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Hank Sewell. I reside at 146 Water Oak Street. I'm here in support of Timmy Connolly's increase in special events budget. As a business operator in downtown and most of the festival footprints at Paloma Park and soon-to-be Union Fair, but also as a resident of Athens, I believe they're a great benefit to us. As mentioned previously already, these street festivals are extremely beneficial to us as Athens becomes more and more seasonal, introducing these festivals in downtimes like the Pride Festival last weekend or Hot Corner coming up and Wild Rumpus on the students' fall break. Introducing foot traffic downtown to people that might not come on their own is great for us and great for the city. We enjoy partnering with them. We enjoy being a part of them. We enjoy every aspect of them, and we just hope to see them grow bigger and better. And we also hope to see Athens use these events to also grow bigger and better. That's really all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Sewell. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Dylan Woolsey from 505 Urban Parkway. You've heard me talk many times throughout the years. Something you may not know about me is that I am the platform chair for the Athens Democratic Party, the party that just got 70% of the vote last November. Through this role, I've spoken with many different representatives of various community groups throughout Athens, groups varying racially, geographically diverse, and economically diverse as well. And the number one concern for most of these communities that I've talked to was affordable housing. So very happy for both plans putting more money into the fund, the Affordable Housing Fund as recommended. The second top concern was cost of living. And here is where two budgets that have been proposed significantly differ. The budget CDO from the Commissioner from District 10 takes more SPLOST funds that could be used to pay for future projects and moves them into the general fund in order to cut property taxes. We all know that future transportation projects are going to need to be paid for, and they're going to be paid for through SPLOST and sales taxes. So the more money we take from current SPLOST means that more sales taxes are going to be needed in the future, paid by citizens in this community. Sales taxes needing to be increased in the future means a higher cost of living in the future. Using future sales taxes to pay for current property taxes is a wealth transfer from low-income earners and the half of this county who does not have property to those with more assets. And you can't get a homestead exemption on sales taxes. As well, nationally, there's a Republican bill in Congress right now that there's going to be raising taxes on low-income earners to pay for tax cuts for the more well-off. We voted for people to oppose this bill nationally here in Athens, and it is time as well to oppose this here locally as well. So I hope you all are a vote on no from the Budget Commission to find option from the Commissioner from District 10. Thank you.
Thank you, Dylan.
I'm in the box. Good evening. My name is Dennis Smiley. I'm a resident of District 6. First and foremost, thank you all for your service. This is not an easy job, so thank you. I'm here to speak today on behalf of funding for downtown events. I love this town. I moved here 10 years ago. I'm going to be horizontal here, hopefully not in the near future, but that's the plan, right? When you love something, you invest back in it. I serve on two nonprofit boards here in town, Artist to Artist and the Athens-Clarke County Mentor Program. I'm also a member of the Unified Government's Deferred Compensation Board for the third term and final term in a row. Why? Because I believe in giving back and investing in the future, investing in our children, investing in our city. 2 years ago, this commission raised the dollar amount for downtown funding from $60,000 to $250,000. It wasn't an expense, it was an investment, and that investment has paid off. You have heard numerous people today come to the dais and talk about the increase in traffic, the increase in business. It's an investment, not an expense. 40 years ago, I lived in Houston, Texas, and my band played South by Southwest. And that festival looked very much like AthFest looks today. The city of Austin made a strategic decision to invest in that festival, and today it is an international festival that brings in tens of millions of dollars over a period of 2 to 3 weeks. I'm not saying we can get there tomorrow, but they saw it as an investment, as I ask you to think about it. It's a real opportunity to not only invest in Athens brand and its jewel events, but also to get a return on investment for the unified government. More people means more spending, more hotel room nights, more food and beverage, more retail. All of that converts to more T-Spot, more liquor tax, more hotel motel tax. So it is a return on your investment twofold, both in returned revenues and also in terms of growth of those events, which help build the brand for Athens. So 250 is in the budget. I'm not going to name a number. You've heard numbers. What I'm asking for is more. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. Good evening.
Hi. It's like a Gen Zer. I am a survivor of sexual assault. I hold a Master of Public Administration and am a certified victim advocate. I worked over 8 years at UGA's Fontaine Center, where the Relationship and Sexual Violence Prevention Program is housed. This is located across the street from where Laken Riley was murdered. I am here to talk to you today about how funding the Real-Time Crime Center will be a detriment to our community. Shortly after Laken Riley was murdered, the health center experienced an active shooter alert. A drill. I was on my way back to the restroom. I didn't have my phone with me. I ran to the closest office available, shut the door, was there for hours, watched the entire UGA PD come with their AK-47s. Nothing was ever said about it. But that is an example of what Safety Athens is pushing. The military-industrial complex is not going to help us. I am here today to speak in agreement with Gertz's proposed budget. Please do not repeat the mistake of throwing exorbitant amounts of funding to something that will end up costing us more money in the long term. I pray that our commissioners have the community's best interest at heart to not repeat this same mistake of wasting exorbitant amounts of funding on something you have not researched. Please don't do that to our community again. I beg you. I pray that you have it in your heart to not repeat that mistake. There are currently multiple lawsuits against municipal governments for their use of flock cameras. Norfolk, Virginia has multiple ones. Please look that up. I know ACC had a minimum of about 20 flock cameras in 2024. They will not say that when you ask them, but you can do an open records request, and it's true. Another example, Gwinnett County, a woman, the federal government decided to let them proceed, stating it is a violation of the Fourth Amendment. Another woman in Gwinnett County cannot get a job. Someone took her car on a drug deal, and because it was her car, even though she's cleared, she cannot get a job hired at the hospital she was applying to as a nurse. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate all of you. I never want your job, and I admire you. Please take into consideration what I said. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I can give you more information.
Thank you. Can I get your name just for the
Oh,
record?
I'm so sorry. I was so, Kristen Bryant.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Elham Tagizadeh, and I'm a resident of District 3, and I do not support funding the Real-Time Crime Center. It would be a gross allocation of our budget and a result of fear-mongering. All the RTCC will effectively do is create an even bigger target on the back of disenfranchised Athenians, especially people of color. Instead, this money could be used to provide our community with things that will actually make a difference, like affordable housing, accessible mental health services, and effective rehabilitation programs that do not further criminalize people and incarcerate them. 2 people have died at the jail in the span of a month, and ACCPD should focus on its ever-growing list of problems instead of an ineffective center that only serves to build a facade of safety to appease and appeal to a group fueled by prejudice. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. I apologize, I didn't have time to fill out one of the comment cards, but I will do that before I leave today. Good evening. My name is Erin Galvin McCoy, 2165 South Millage Avenue. I am a resident of District 10, soon to be a resident of District 1 when I move in the coming months. I am also here today to oppose the funding of the Real-Time Crime Center. I would like to challenge the premise that increased surveillance reduces crime rates, and for proof of that, I would recommend that y'all look no further than the city of Atlanta. Atlanta is, without exaggeration, one of the most surveilled cities in the entire world, with 48.93 cameras for every 1,000 residents. Many of these cameras, if not the majority, are connected to Atlanta's version of the Real-Time Crime Center, the Video Information Center, or the VIC. And yet, Atlanta's policing has not produced safety, but rather an amplification of existing bias, leading to over-policing of certain neighborhoods with high Black, brown, and immigrant populations, criminalization of protest, expanded surveillance of people who have committed no crimes. There was a Guardian article about that a few months ago. County jails with disproportionate populations of Black men, and jails across the metro area facing many of the same issues that our jail is now facing regarding inmate food, medical care, and unexplained deaths in custody. According to the Georgia Sheriff's Association's May 2025 data, the current population of the jail is 80.4% pretrial, meaning that 80.4% of the total population of the jail is being kept in these conditions, sitting there for months or years, waiting to be convicted of a crime, very often with the only barrier to their release being an inability to pull together bond funds. Increasing our incarceration apparatus will only exacerbate this problem. And if that is not as much of a concern to the mayor and commission as it is to me, I would ask one question. DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, has already made it clear that Athens is a target for its alleged sanctuary policies. They have already put out a list. And while, yes, they have redacted that list at this time, it is a question of if, not when, or when, of when, not if, we will be targeted. And as some previous commenters stated, there have been multiple occasions when ICE agents across the country have asked for favors from local police departments to receive data from automated license plate readers. So my question is, what will Athens do when DHS demands to access this data in order to enact immigration raids and terrorize our immigrant communities? It's my understanding that there isn't much that can be done, which is why I'm opposing the Real-Time Crime Center. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron. Good evening.
Good evening. I'm Audie Lee. My pronouns are they, them. I've lived at 121 Maynard Court since 2017 when I had the pleasure of being recruited to one of the scrappiest festivals in Athens, Latinx Fest. It started in 2010 in Pinewoods, and it was driven by the people. It started as a fundraiser, and the Downtown Development Authority asked us to come downtown and take the festival out of Pinewoods, out of these little local businesses that we were running the festival out of. And we have run off of a budget of only $30,000 as long as the CEP funds have stayed at $15,000. With the funds stagnating and inflation, there's less and less that the festival can give back to the community. And with all of the other stressors going on that's related to the other agenda item, specifically in the immigrant community, the energy is wearing thinner and thinner. So we're still not paying our artists adequately. We really need to be compensating the people who are bringing this festival to life. We can't afford to pay for first aid. Being a target, we need to have emergency staff on hand. We can't afford premier artists. We missed an opportunity last year to have a great 5-piece orchestra from Atlanta come out because we couldn't afford them. So again, with the stressors like frequently losing water over the past year in Pinewoods, also electricity, as our Commissioner Thornton had to witness the other day. And the other stressors that Felix highlighted earlier, we really, really need to uplift the immigrant communities. So not just for Latinx Fest, but for everybody, as one of the festivals that's doing the most with the least, it really makes a huge impact. We would love to be able to compensate our organizers a little bit more. We would love to be able to bring, fresh, new talent. We'd love to be able to, develop a fund that's specifically for Latin artists. There's a lot of limitations, and I know that we can all overcome them together. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Audie. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Austin Crowell. I live at 124 North Poplar Street. I'm here to outline my concerns regarding the technologies used in the Athens-Clarke County Real-Time Crime Center and express my opposition to any funding increases. Mayor Gertz's initial budget allocated $80,000 towards the Real Crime Center, while two commissioner-defined options propose allocating the full requested amount of $340,000. I'm here to urge you to oppose any funding increases for the Real-Time Crime Center, as it relies upon dragnet surveillance technologies like Flock automatic license plate readers, or ALPRs, and Fusus real-time operations platform, which powers Connect Athens-Clarke County, Athens-Clarke County's camera integration program. Not yet 2 years old, their surveillance network in ACC has already grown to over 6,800 cameras, the majority of which are owned by third parties registered through Connect Athens-Clarke County. Registered users can optionally purchase Fusus core devices, which enables real-time streaming to the crime center. Now, this is without a warrant. While an ACCPD captain claimed that the use of this network is always prompted by a law enforcement incident, what constitutes a law enforcement incident is constantly changing, and as the history of policing in America has demonstrated time and time again, is rife with racial and socioeconomic discrimination. Not only that, but the use of ACC's Flock ALPR network is not restricted to ACCPD as claimed. A recent Flock network audit from the Danville, Illinois Police Department revealed that, in fact, police departments across the country were searching Danville's cameras, many times at the behest of Immigration and Customs Enforcement, with reasons listed variously as immigration, ICE, illegal immigration, and ICE warrant. Visible in the audits are searches made by ACCPD, many of which merely cite suspicious activity as the reason for the search. Does suspicious activity always constitute a law enforcement incident, and who is the arbiter of what activity ought to be deemed suspicious and not? What is stopping police departments from across the country that may or may not reflect the values of our community from accessing our camera network? In addition to being used to further Trump's deportation agenda, law enforcement agencies in states that have criminalized abortion have utilized the network to prosecute those seeking necessary reproductive care out of state. Although those in favor of expanding the capabilities of the ACC Real-Time Crime Center might prefer to minimize these realities, there is no realistic way to sanction only those searches believed to further the safety of our community while restricting all others, and the supposed efficacy of these technologies has yet to be rigorously demonstrated. While certainly not all of the cameras in ACC's Real-Time Crime Center are Flock ALPRs, their accessibility to law enforcement nevertheless presents concerns, as they are integrated into Fusus's real-time operation platform. Data sharing is an essential feature of Fusus. It's why they advertise their platform as a quote-unquote force multiplier, facilitating data sharing across multiple jurisdictions, branded as enhanced mutual aid. When institutions like the University of Georgia
Thank you, Austin. I appreciate you coming tonight.
Thank you.
Good evening.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for giving us the time. My name is Joshua Cloudy, 215 Addison Road. I'm in District 6. I won't take too much time. I'll be brief since it's been said by some others before me, but I'm here to express my support for Commissioner Myers' version of the budget in opposition to Commissioner Hamby's. Like many have said before, I believe that Commissioner Myers' budget is the more fiscally responsible option, particularly thinking about the long-term future of how these funds would be used. And like I know many of the commissioners here have thought, particularly by Commissioner from District 6, fiscal responsibility is an important part of local government. We can't do some of the earmarking and the friendly gifts that the federal budgets do that get them in trouble. So I'd like to support Commissioner Myers' bill. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Lisa Lott. I live in Athens, Georgia. I'm the Chief Judge of the Superior Court of the Western Judicial Circuit. And so on behalf of the Superior, State, Magistrate, Juvenile, and Probate Court for Athens-Clarke County, I want to thank you all for your support throughout this past year and for the budget that you have allocated to our courts, which will allow us to function as we should according to law. Equally importantly, I want to also thank you all for your continued support as Athens-Clarke County Central Services works tirelessly to repair the courthouse elevators and refurbish our courthouse so that it appropriately reflects the pride we have in our community as a whole. The courthouse is a place of justice and should, I believe, serve as a beacon of light and hope for everyone. I also ask you to consider the importance of our request for juvenile court. It is one of our busiest courts and reflects the importance that we as a community feel towards our youth and our families. As you know, we now have 2 full-time juvenile court judges, and they have statutory obligations to provide attorneys for all litigants, which include the children, the parents, and also include the appointments for guardian ad litems. I further ask you all to consider providing our sheriff with the necessary funding so that he is able to protect and serve all persons who enter our courthouse. And again, I want to thank you all for all that you do for us. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have as you debate the 2 CDOs that you're talking about tonight. Again, thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge Lott. Good evening.
Hello. My name is Sarah Gehring. I live at 140 Griffith Street. I didn't plan on coming back to give a second comment on the budget this year, but new things came to light very recently, and so I'm back. I am here to speak primarily against the proposed practice of using money from SPLOST to fund various things that were put on the agenda at the very last minute without any public consultation with the public, consultation with the SPLOST Advisory Committee, which is a dedicated group of citizens who is in charge of making sure that these dollars are being spent in the ways that the voters intended, along with various user groups for the different projects that are under the SPLOST. I'm personally very attached to SPLOST 2023 because I served on the advisory committee for that SPLOST. We spent hundreds of hours over many months reviewing more than 90 submissions from the community. We asked the Mayor and Commission at the time for guidance in what pavement maintenance or other big items they would want us to set aside money for, and there was a lot of argument about that. And in the end, things like pavement maintenance were not put on the ballot for the voters in a large sum. There was a bucket put on the ballot so that if, and this was in the discussion from 2021, I know I went back and listened to it today, so that if there was a windfall of money, if there was a lot more money than we needed to get the stuff done that the voters wanted, including historic investments in North and East Athens, that money could be used for pavement maintenance in the countywide program, assuming all the other projects were on track. We're only 2 years into this. A lot of these projects haven't started yet. And taking money away, and as Teresa mentioned, this is interest money that is getting piled up under the understanding that it will take many years for these projects to get done. Things will get more expensive than we anticipated, and that is what that interest is a safeguard against. Taking the money in this way, especially using it for earmarked specific streets, which have not been subject to any public discussion, I fear will erode public trust in the SPLOST process, which at this point is especially crucial because there is currently another SPLOST Advisory Committee convened. I cannot imagine expecting people or encouraging people to vote for the next SPLOST if this is how we spend our SPLOST money today. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. All right, I will now call for any public input on old and new business. So those are items 1 through 9. Is there any public input on old and new business, items 1 through 9? Good evening.
Hello, I'm Michael Rupersberg. I live at 170 Virginia Avenue in District 2. Here to talk about old business item number 4. I request that you all vote no on this IGA. I support redeveloping the Graduate, and I support redeveloping the county-owned parking lots. And I went to the open house yesterday, and there's a lot to like about this project, and I commend the developer and I commend the commissioners that worked on it. But it's not the right project for the community, in my opinion. Last week, Commissioner Fisher said, we have an obligation to the community. Are we in the student housing business,
Are we in the business of supporting this community with housing? And that's how I feel about this proposal. County property should be used for people that live and work in Athens, not student housing. And given the cost of developing and building, especially downtown, the only way we're going to be able to build anything downtown is for using our county property. So we already got a plan for these properties. It's the North Downtown Redevelopment Project. It's a great plan. We should stick with it. It includes housing, some of which is going to be affordable. It includes a significant amount of retail space. It includes a parking deck. It includes community space. And the long-term value of development like that, that's going to be for everyone that lives in Athens, is much greater than the short-term cash infusion we might be getting from this deal. So once these properties are sold and developed, they're gone. They're going to be developed and they're going to stay that way for the rest of our lives. So it's important that we get this right rather than do this deal right now. So I understand that part of this deal is the concern that we complete the Bethel Homes redevelopment. And we need to complete that. I support completing it. The community supports completing it. But I am sure that we can find a way to get that across the finish line without using these county properties for student housing. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ruppersberg. Good evening.
Good evening, y'all. My name's David Williams. I live at 132 Austin Court. I want to say a few things about, I believe, item 9, which is the municipal court judge appointment. A friend of mine and a coworker was nominated or was up for consideration for this job. It's my understanding that she will not be appointed to this position. When I first heard that, I was upset, I was disappointed, and I was sad, and in a way I was angry. But now I think I've gone through all the stages of grief, and here we are. I do want to say that as public defenders, we don't talk about what we do. What we do is between us and the clients, and what we do primarily is protect people. And we talk to their families, and we try to keep them from stress and harm and further pain in their lives, and that's what we do. And really what I want to do today, and what I'm here for, and the reason I'm speaking, is that my friend who was nominated for that position is somebody who's done that at a high level, intensely and very well for many, many years. We've worked together for 10 years. Her name is Amani Carter. And what I want to do tonight, in lieu of her not receiving this position, is I want to thank her for the service she's given this community for 10 years. And I'm proud to call her a friend. I'm proud to call her a coworker. And I just want it to be known publicly that she is an incredible attorney and an incredible human being and has done so much for this community and the probably thousands of people she's represented. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Fred Smith, and I want to talk about Agenda Item 4. I stand in support of that agenda item. I understand some of the concerns that some who don't support it, but to me, the benefits fully outweigh some of those concerns. I've been in community service and government service almost all my life, okay? And I worked for community affairs for half of my working career and for the Department of Labor for the other part. And I can tell you that throughout those years, when people would call and needed assistance, needed support for housing, there used to be some answers, right? There used to be some options. Right now, it saddened me each time I get a call or when I talk to someone directly about their need for housing and the critical conditions in which they are living. It saddened me. And so this project is something, in fact, that we have been waiting for. We've been waiting for developers to take advantage of the in lieu of clause in the inclusionary zoning ordinance. Of course, as I understand, that's a voluntary ordinance, and so in most instances, developers just go on and they build what they want to build because they don't
they're not obligated to build affordable housing or support affordable housing. This project, as I understand it, the developer is pledging $8 to $9 million maybe that would go into the Affordable Housing Fund. And we could use that fund to support the housing crisis that we have here in Athens-Clarke County. So for that reason, I stand in support of that. Again, I do understand some of the concerns about transparency, et cetera, and all that is important. But to me, that does not supersede the crisis that we have in this community and that I see in people's eyes and faces every day when they struggle about what to do about housing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Good evening.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Amani Carter, and I am a public defender here in Athens. I've been a resident of Athens for the past 13 years. I currently reside in District 7. In addition to public defense, I'm also a professor at the law school. I've been serving there for 3 years, and I'm also an overall just community advocate. I am the friend that Dave Williams just mentioned and coworker, as well as someone who has been serving many of, if not all of my years here in Athens, serving the Athens community. And I did apply and was considered and interviewed for the municipal court judge position. I'm sorry, I am addressing agenda item number 9. And I just wanted to state that, as Mr. Williams said, express my confusion in who was deemed the candidate. Not anything against that person personally. I do not know her personally. I believe that she would do a great job. And also good to see a woman of color joining the judiciary here in Athens. But given someone that has served Athens for so long and has poured my heart and my work into this community, and as we know, municipal court is the court where probably everyone in this courtroom and their family members have probably went through at least once. And it's the court of the people and for the community, and I believe that the judge should also represent that, someone who would be ruling and presiding over those type of matters in Athens. And so I just wanted to thank you for your time. I also wanted to express that to the commissioners. I'm not quite sure how much you all were a part of that selection process, if you even knew who applied or was interviewed. And to also state that I've had a lot of support from the legal community for this. I did apply in 2022, was not selected, and was strongly, strongly, strongly encouraged to apply again. I had letters of recommendation from a acting magistrate court judge, 2 state court judges, and a superior court judge, as well as other judges and private attorneys and other members of the legal community pulling me aside, showing their support for me, and stating that I would make a great judge and that the mayor should have no question of who to select or recommend. And however, things fell differently, and that's okay. And so I believe everything happens for a reason. But I did just want to publicly state that and to just express my opinion on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Good evening.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Joe Gatto. I live at 2135 Clifton in Chicago. I'm a managing director with Core Spaces, a developer and investor of real estate based out of Chicago, with a primary focus on mixed-use housing and student housing and single-family homes for rent. I just want to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak here tonight, as well as those that were able to make it out to our neighborhood meeting yesterday. There's a handful of commissioners, as well as a lot of community members that made it. We're very thankful for that. It is a start of a long design and development process, and so I'm excited for the opportunity to continue to collaborate on it, as well as work with you all in creating a really special place on this important site in town. What was before you tonight is really an agreement to come up with a future agreement on this project, and so again, excited to kick that process off. I just wanted to highlight a few of the public benefits here for you. Number one, which Mr. Smith mentioned a little bit earlier, was a $7.9 million contribution to affordable housing, to the Affordable Housing Fund, to help create and expand affordable housing in the area. Number two would be a $2.7 million
contribute or valued improvement to the sewer infrastructure. This is critical infrastructure that would help the Bethel Homes phases to continue. In particular, phases 3 through 5 in particular, they can't go without this. So speed to market of that housing, as well as having the private sector fulfill that cost and construction. And then number 3 would be a $3.8 million annual property tax benefit, of which about $1.5 million would go to the TAD, which is money that can be used for a litany of things, including expanding affordable housing. And in particular, of that $1.5 million, $1 million of it is approximately scheduled to be available for the East Athens community. Additionally, there would be a 200-stall parking deck built that would be owned by the public on the site, as well as an opportunity to really expand the public realm for the Jackson Street Art Walk with expanded sidewalks, improved lighting, retail opportunities, public art opportunities as well. And respectfully ask you to vote yes for the item number 4 on the agenda, and thank you again for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gatto. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Donna Carrillos Ramirez, and I live at 210 Catalpa Drive here in Athens. On number 4, please vote no. Before you worry about putting more apartments up for students, for UGA students, think about the people who are here who are homeless. You have military vets sleeping on our streets. We have homeless folks, and yes, I understand some of them choose to be homeless, but some of them do not. You can't afford to live here in Athens anymore. Property taxes are going through the roof. And when these fine folks right here come bring these buildings in, what is it going to do to the property value of the surrounding area? It's going to increase their property taxes. These folks cannot afford to pay. They struggle enough to pay the taxes that they currently have. But when these taxes come in for the new developments around, how are they going to pay that? Oh, let's just put them out. Let's put them out of the road because they can't pay their taxes. Let's auction their houses at the courthouse. That's not fair to the folks that's been here for generations and generations. It's not fair to our homeless population. You're more worried about bringing college students in than getting these people off the street. Well, we need to figure out a happy balance in this. It's not, great, $7.9 million. Who's going to control that? How are you going to determine, or how are we going to know as the community that that's actually going to go towards affordable housing? We don't, because y'all sit here and y'all make your own plans and then you do your own thing. Please vote no, because they're here now, but they're coming up North Avenue, Danielsville Road. They're going to come to your neighborhoods. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ramirez. Good evening.
Good evening, David Ellison here to speak in favor of item number 4 on tonight's agenda, asking for you to support amending the existing IGA as well. Just from a procedural standpoint, to let you know that right now, the only thing we're asking y'all to vote upon is to amend an existing IGA that was adopted in 2020. This was an agreement between the DDA and y'all to develop what we refer to as the butterfly lot due to its awkward shape. And over the past 5 years, that project has not advanced, and this surface parking lot has essentially withered on the vine as the surrounding area in Athens has seen a boom and a great advancement towards your land use policies. But what we're asking you to do is to amend this IGA so that we can advance many of the policies of Athens-Clarke County and develop this surface parking lot and provide a land swap that allows y'all to get a parking deck.
We are offering to build a parking deck, 200 spaces at our expense. If you want more parking spaces, we're happy to provide that, and we'll negotiate that in terms of the development agreement. Much of these details that many of the people in the community want and deserve, we are going to provide if y'all approve this IGA. If y'all approve this IGA, that allows my client to go forward with the designs and the plans to go forward with the intense process this is going to take. There are many unique benefits from this proposal. In addition to this parking deck, we're going to be making certain sewer improvements to benefit downtown Athens and the community at large. We can't spend that money and go forward unless y'all approve this IGA. We're asking you to approve this tonight so that we can move forward with this plan. If we don't get approved tonight, then it's going to delay our delivery by a year, and that's going to prevent us from providing many of the unique benefits that we want to provide to this community. It's also going to benefit Athens-Clarke County because it allows us to go forward with the planning and permitting for these sewer improvements. Public Utilities is very clear they want to move quickly on this, and we do too, which is why we're asking you to approve this tonight. There are some comments tonight about concerns about student housing. We understand that. But one of the benefits about this density in this district is that we are able to participate in the inclusionary zoning ordinance. We will be contributing to a fund, and y'all will get to decide how that is spent. Another benefit of this is that we're increasing housing supply, and we want to, quite frankly, get this right. So there was a comment about a concern about getting this right. You approve this tonight, you allow us to spend the next few months to come up with plans and work with y'all to receive all the public input and public comment. We received some public comment last night. We're going to work on it and incorporate it. We're going to continue to work on that process. But we'd ask for you to at least approve this amended IGA tonight so we can move forward, because no matter what happens, we're going to have to come back before you again. At that point in time, you're going to know exactly what you're approving, exactly what you're getting, and knowing exactly what everyone's duties are.
Thank you, Mr. Ellison. Good evening.
How you doing? My name is Charles Hardy. I'm quite sure y'all know by now that almost 3,000 people done said online that they do not want this project to come through. Item number 4. The community don't want it, and that's who y'all work for, the community. It ain't been no transparency. It's good that they want to help the Bethel Home project, don't get me wrong. That's good, that's excellent. But that ain't their fault. That's our fault, because the government didn't do what they supposed to do to make that project happen the right way. So it almost look like it's a bow. I do y'all a favor, you do me a favor. It don't work like that, because you erasing history. This same space that this parking lot is going in, Lay Park finna have a 50-year anniversary. And that's what, that's where the parking lot is finna sit at. The playground and all that gonna be gone. And from my understanding, they ain't got nowhere to put it. They haven't decided where they gonna put it. So I'm asking y'all, stop erasing our history. 30 years from now, if that parking lot goes up, next week, next year, whatever, 30 years from now, they gonna be talking about just like they talking about Leonardtown today. Stop erasing our history. We don't need no money. If y'all ain't got the money for it, oh well. Don't sell your soul. Don't erase our history. I grew up right on Water Street. I played at that park where they trying to build at now. 3,000 people done said online. Read the comments. I sent y'all an email this morning. They don't want it. They don't want it. So who we gonna work for, the community or the contractor? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hardy.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Barbara Daniel. I wanted to talk to you about number 4. It's a shame. Back here 2 years ago, I can remember quite a few of y'all, commissioner, said that y'all were gonna stop doing affordable home. But you didn't come out and tell us. I also remember that y'all said y'all weren't gonna do no more student houses. If it'd be 3 years, and I'm still standing up here today asking for affordable home. If you're not gonna do it, I cannot deal with fake people. If you're not gonna do it, be a woman
or be a man and come out and tell the public that you're not gonna build any affordable homes. Don't have us going around here looking like fools, because we already knows that y'all not gonna do that. So number 4, do not put no more student homes up as of now. Can't y'all understand? Do you see the weather, how it going on right now? I know I keep coming up here telling y'all that he's... Now, time is up. It's up. Enough is enough. Why y'all come around here telling us that y'all out for the public? Y'all not for us. You for your own self. And I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I am so tired of coming up here on Tuesday night hearing the same old sad story. It's time for a change. Why each and every one of y'all staring at me? You need to be talking to the Lord, because when he come, it's gonna be ugly. And it headed this way. So I'm asking y'all for number 4, do not put student homes there. We need our affordable homes, and we need the people that's here, that been here all their life, to stay where they're at. I am so tired of it, and I'm putting my hands up to the Lord, and he finna do it. And when he do it, don't look down at me, because I have nothing to do with it, because I've been up here doing his service, asking y'all to help these poor, homeless people. Thank you, and have a blessed night.
Thank you, Ms. Daniel. Good evening.
Russell Edwards. I wanted to thank the mayor and commission, because looking at number 4 in the Founders Street got me thinking about North Athens, North Downtown. And I know that this community, this commission in particular, has made a very large investment in the Bethel Homes redevelopment. I think it's $50 million in counting of public funds to create some permanently affordable housing. And I'm pretty sure per capita, that might be the biggest investment I know of in this decade for a city this size in the Southeast. And I think we're going to continue to see benefits for that project for many years. And one thing that came to my mind when considering the unhoused population in this community is, if we have a problem with people that are unhoused that don't have houses, I would put forward that the more we can do to encourage the construction of houses, it will benefit those that don't have houses. And it kind of came out in the last meeting that y'all met. There was a gentleman here who was trying to get a special use permit to turn one unit within a development into a short-term rental. And he came forward as a local developer, and he said, look, we have a lot of units in this area, and there's some vacancies. And because of these vacancies, I'm having to lower my prices. So I think that's sort of an indication of what we're seeing with the increase in supply of the houses. There's more competition between the owners of those houses to rent them out for cheaper or to sell them for cheaper. And the testimony from a local developer last meeting basically made that clear to me. So if people need houses, let's try to encourage the construction of houses. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Edwards. Good evening.
My name's Don Fitzgerald. I'm at 145J Drive, Athens, Georgia. And I want to ask for you guys to not support number 4. I hear all this about, $7 million is going to help the building for low income.
I've seen millions and millions of dollars that's supposed to go towards low-income housing and help the unfortunate, but it's not doing that. You know, it's going to corporations, it's going to nonprofits that's taking, you know, the big portion off the top, and it's not reaching the people of Athens-Clarke County that it's meant to reach. And I see that every day here. And I had several things that I wanted to talk about today, but right now I guess this was the biggest one on my heart. And but I think that we need to consider the fact that even though there's millions of dollars coming in, where is it going? Who is it going to? Whose pockets is it going into? Because it's unfortunately it's not going to the unfortunate people, the low income people. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fitzgerald. Good evening.
Good evening. I wasn't going to come tonight because I was in the middle of doing a whole bunch of stuff at the house, as you can see. I'm a mess. But I just want to say a few things. And one is about, because I'm on number 4 here, is that we moved to Athens because we wanted a slower pace. We lived in California in the Bay Area forever, 30 years, raised 2 kids, have been on every freeway, LA to San Francisco. So we know density, we know suburbia, and we know in-town living. And we wanted something different, and we wanted to retire here. In our neighborhood, we have 3 new homes that are retirees, and I believe they want a slower pace too. So keep that in perspective when you do all this building and when you do all this build out and when you have all these developers who want this. But I also want to say something about Safety Athens. I help with Safety Athens, and we aren't about surveillance at all, and I can explain that. We're about MHTH at Advantage. We're about making safety the case for all residents of Athens, including students, and I want to say something about that as well. But on number 4, your greatest asset in Athens is your history. That's your greatest asset. That's the most marketable thing you have here. And if you start destroying it and making it nothing but facades, you're going to be sorry in the long term. And you need to look at those longitudinal studies and look at that from the perspective of the next generation and the generation after that. So I would want you to keep that in mind when you look at this project. And also in terms of safety, and I know I'm going to run out of time because I'm all discombobulated, but with us on this project, the parents aren't about student housing downtown. Believe me, it's too expensive. They don't like it. They don't want their kids downtown next to the bars. And it's also the biggest, highest crime area in Athens. Along with that, they have to deal with the psychotic homeless who come in and accost them when they try to go out to dinner. And the smell of urine in the garages and things like that. So parents don't want student housing downtown, I can tell you. We wanted to do a survey, but we don't have the opportunity because no one told us about this ahead of time. We would have done a survey with the parents on our website. We have 7,000 parents on our website. And we would have asked clear questions. What do you think of this housing? Would you want your student here or not? You know, so forth and so on, and see what they felt like the project. But just keep that in mind and think about longitudinal studies and the history of Athens, because I think that's an important aspect of your community. And I know I haven't been here forever, but just over 10 years. But with Safety Athens, I also want to tell you that we are not a surveillance organization at all. We have been instrumental in supporting the MHTH, and in fact coined that phrase, and helped get funding through the state for Advantage Behavioral Health, which will provide 60 beds to keep unsheltered homeless off the streets. We have a new article coming out. I'll just let you know. We have roughly 850 unique individuals right now with unique incident reports in 2024. Well, yes, that's the total. Over roughly 75% of them have been here since past that time, and my light's going
Thank
off,
you, Ms.
so I'll
Monteverde.
quit. And I'll come back and just read our article. Go to Safety. It'll be out in about 2 months. Thanks.
Good evening.
Good evening. I'll make sure I fill this out.
My name is Jake Strickland. I'm here to speak on number 4 for this evening. I'm a co-developer in this project. I am also representing as part of the ownership of the Graduate Athens, now Abacus Hotel. I just want to say thank you for all who were able to come out. I know weather's been a little crazy the past couple of weeks, so I appreciate everyone was able to come out with the commission, especially those in the community able to come out. I think we had really great conversations. We were able to agree, we were able to disagree on some things, we were able to agree to disagree on some things. But I hope that over the time of agenda setting and last week and this week, that in that time that you've all been able to learn a little bit more about the project and understand the public benefit that does come with this. I won't rename all those that have been mentioned. But when we bought this hotel, there was the thought of redeveloping. And the thought was of redeveloping it as is. And I'll skip to the part of, it got to have this more broader conversation of, could it be a larger deal? And it got to the conversation that we're having now of the larger deal, whereas we could build by right. But as a larger deal, yes, there's more units that are on there, but that also allows us to do a heck of a lot more in the public benefit realm, which again, you all have heard the different bullet points are added here. So I hope that you all take that in consideration of, I would like to think that more than most other developments that probably come in front of you and ones that you've probably seen me talk about and others within our company, I hope you see this one as maybe a little bit different, that we're coming to this one with a lot to offer that doesn't just self-benefit the development, but also benefits the community. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Strickland. All right, Commissioner
Even
Hammond?
if we take a bit of a break, Mayor, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Would everybody like to take a break till 7:30?
Just like 5 minutes, yeah.
All right.
That's perfect. Thank you.
Take a break till 7:30. We'll go ahead and pick up with new business. And because we're handling 3 items under new business that haven't been heard before, we need a motion for suspension of rules. Do I hear such a motion?
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Fisher and a second from Commissioner Wright for suspension of rules. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Item 7 is a resolution to approve and appoint the acting manager as the authorized representative with respect to the Series 2022 and Series 2023 Classic Center Arena project. This is a formality because whoever sits in the manager's seat has to be formally designated this opportunity. And so Judge Drake, by serving in this role, also wears many other hats. So I'd entertain a motion for this action.
So moved. Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Taylor and a second from Commissioner Thornton. Commissioner Taylor, any remarks?
Yes, I would like to write a book on the 3 years that I've known Judd. We're going to steal him. Where's the attorney's office? They're not here? Okay. I'm just joking, Judd. Congratulations.
It's going to be a children's book.
Oh, no.
We would all benefit from that tome. Commissioner Thornton, any remarks?
I tried to talk him out of it, and I tried really hard, and I'm glad he didn't listen, because even in these last few days, I have seen some stuff that I've never seen before. So thank you, Judd.
Commissioner Johnson?
Yes, thank you. So in just reading the title, I am thinking about, I always do a postmaster test. And if my postmaster doesn't know what something means, if I have to explain it, it's not clear. And that's what I did when I read number 7. And so for the people watching in the audience and at home, just generally 2 to 3, however long sentences to explain what authorized representative for Series 2022 and Series 2023 Classic Center Arena project. Are they bonds, and what does authorized representative encompass? Thank you.
Senator Drake, how would you outline that?
It just gives it would give me the authority to sign off on the use of the bond funds as the requisitions are submitted for the project. The
Thank you.
invoices, sign off on approving the payment of the invoice is a simpler way to say it for the work.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to comment, this might be the 3rd time so far. So each of our interim managers, this has been the follow-up procedure for the name that properly lays in there. So I just
I got one more comment.
Commissioner Johnson?
I know I watch a lot of meetings and I attend a lot of meetings, but I don't keep up with the number. So if I have a question, it's for somebody brand new. Thank you.
All right, got a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. All right, next item of new business, number 8 on your agenda, is the agreement to accept Gene Spratlin's resignation as Clerk of Commission.
Make a motion to accept the resignation of Clerk of Commission, Gene Spratlin. Effective June 30th.
Got a
I'll
motion-
second that.
Motion from Commissioner Fisher, second
Yeah.
from Commissioner Wright. Commissioner Fisher, any remarks?
Yes, Ms. Jane, provided over 50 years of services to this community, to the government, and to the commission, and we are really indebted to her for her brilliant experience, her knowledge. She just helped me out tremendously, and as a new commissioner coming on 3 years ago, and provided me a lot of insight and a lot of history. It's something to be said about knowledge, history of knowledge of a community, and she had law. So, but she's gonna be missed, and Mayor, I hope we're gonna be able to have something for her about the last week in June, and I'll talk with you about it, about doing that, and really recognizing her with the event.
Thank you. Commissioner Wright.
Yes, we all enjoyed a huge 50th year last spring, I guess, celebration of her dedication to our community and the government in her working role, that we will have a bit of a transition so that everyone can get with her and set, with that transition period of time, but to keep the email and her phone numbers open so that
we can all send our well-wishing and to her, and it's bittersweet item on the agenda.
Commissioner Myers.
Yeah, I just also want to express my thanks to Clerk Spratlin for years and years of service. I cannot imagine the internal transition that's going on inside of her. I was at Athens Tech for 30 years, and of course I've created a whole new life, but it felt so difficult to leave behind that life and that identity, and I know that she's given so much to the county, to the staff, to the public, and I just, we all are very, very appreciative of all her work and wish her the best from the bottom of our hearts.
Commissioner Link.
Yeah, I just want to send my thanks and well wishes to Clerk Spratlin. 50 years is a long time, a lot of service to the public and to this community. And she has certainly earned a retirement and earned her rest. She is going to be immensely missed. The institutional knowledge that she takes with her can't be replaced. I'm grateful that she'll be sticking around a little bit part-time to help us in this transition. It's going to be a lot, but she has definitely earned some rest.
I'll just share, when I was elected to work in this room in 2006, I reached out to some current and former elected officials to try and wrap my head around the gravity of the work that you undertake here. And former Mayor Doc Eldridge said, just let Jean take care of you. And whether it was a word, a bowl of chocolate, or just those pictures of Elvis on her calendar over in the corner of the room, she did take care of me just like she took care of this entire community for the 50 years that she served. So just grateful to know her. So we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Aye. Okay. Please note Commissioner Hamby is opposed. Okay. All right. We have farewells and we have welcomes. And so item 9 is a welcome. And so I do hereby nominate Stephanie Thompson to serve as the Municipal Court Judge and Administrative Hearing Officer of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia. Ms. Thompson will begin serving that role effective July 1st, 2025, and will serve a 2-year term in accordance with Section 1-4-17 of the Code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, and Georgia state law. I request that you approve the nomination of Ms. Thompson to serve as Municipal Court Judge and Administrative Hearing Officer of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia, and authorize me to execute any necessary employment agreements. So may I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved.
I've got a motion from Commissioner Wright. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Hear a second from Commissioner Fisher. And Commissioner Wright, I appreciate you taking part on the interview panel along with other elected and appointed officials here in the county. Would you like to offer any commentary?
I just really appreciated being in the process, and I appreciated how you also had members of the courthouse who were also on the interviewing team, and it was a pleasure to meet her, and I think everyone will also enjoy getting to meet her, and I hope we can welcome her into the community. She's already gotten a nice little initiation into public comment that happens in the chamber, and I hope you'll introduce her after the vote, and so that her smiling face can be recognized by those here, and I look forward to efficient and effective work that she can bring to our municipal court.
Any follow-up, Commissioner Fisher?
No, just looking forward to working with her.
Thank you. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, hearing none, it's unanimous, motion carries. Judge Thompson, I'd like to welcome you to Athens-Clarke County City Hall, where, as you can see, we have a fervent and excited community full of residents, and would welcome you to come speak if you'd like to say anything to the community.
Good evening, everyone. I want to formally introduce myself. I'm Stephanie Thompson, and this is a true honor. I first want to start off by saying that I humbly accept that nomination, and I have dedicated my entire legal career to serving various communities. I served as a prosecutor for over a decade, and I know that this was a very difficult decision with many qualified candidates.
I take pride when I was a prosecutor. I took very much so pride in the cases that I worked with the different individuals. When it comes to misdemeanor cases, these are the quality of life type offenses in our community, and I really prided myself on being able to assist with rehabilitation, connect individuals to mental health services, drug and alcohol services, accountability courts, and I'm deeply humbled and honored to be able to bring that here to Athens-Clarke County. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the appointing authorities, the mayor, the commissions for placing your trust and confidence in me. I recognize that this is a tremendous responsibility, and I wanted to make certain pledges to you tonight. I pledge that I will listen. I will listen to everyone who comes into that courtroom, to all sides. I pledge to be fair. I pledge to commit myself to serving this court system, this legal community, and the public with dedication, efficiency, and transparency. I look forward to working in this community and serving both on and off the bench, and I wanted to sincerely thank you for that tonight.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and we look forward to introducing you to the entire community and the courthouse in particular.
Thank you.
So glad to have you here. All right, friends, we now move to discussion of old business. First item of old business is discussion of the project associated with the addresses 610, 720, 730, and 760 Newton Bridge Road. I know Commissioner Thornton, you asked for some additional time to engage with the development team, and so I'll entertain a motion now.
I make a motion to approve this request, is this a two-part or was it, it's a two-part, right?
So first motion will be for the future land use.
Okay. I make a motion to approve the future land use plan.
Second.
All right, I've got a motion from Commissioner Thornton, second from Commissioner Fisher. Commissioner Thornton, any further remarks?
No.
Commissioner Fisher? All right. And I'll have Attorney Hawkins read the ordinance.
An ordinance to amend the code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to amending the future land use map of Athens-Clarke County by changing the designation of approximately 120.5 acres of land located at 610, 720, 730, and 760 Newton Bridge Road from employment center and rural to mixed-density residential and for other purposes.
All right, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, while you're here, Attorney Hawkins, could you read the ordinance associated with the rezoning?
I'd be happy to, Mayor. An ordinance to amend the code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to rezoning 4 parcels of land comprising approximately 120.5 acres located at 610, 720, 730, and 760 Newton Bridge Road from I industrial to RM1 mixed density residential and for other purposes.
All right, do I hear a motion to that effect?
I make a motion for the rezone.
Second.
All right, there's a motion from Commissioner Thornton, second from Commissioner Link. Commissioner Thornton, anything else?
I took the time to meet with the developer again last week to make sure the information that I was getting was correct or not correct, and it was incorrect information. I think this is going to be a good project. He made a list of things, and I'm not going to read them all, but I do think the roundabout, some of the other benefits, having the roundabout, I think Commissioner Fisher has been advocating for, is going to be helpful in this area. This is a fee simple, which I got some education now, and it's fee simple, attached and detached single-family homes. This takes away the concept of student housing, and it is homes that are going to be sold individually. It's not going to be what I was told. And I think installing the multi-use trail along Newton Bridge Road for the length of the project is going to be huge. And to have that connect the multi-use trail to Vincent Drive, going to the park is another amenity that I think this area is going to be beneficial. So I'm very comfortable making this recommendation today, and I hope this is a unanimous vote.
Commissioner Link, any follow-up?
Yeah, I want to thank Commissioner Thornton for following up on the incorrect information she got.
there's a lot of that going on out there these days, lots of incorrect information floating around. And so I'm grateful that, this was able to get cleared up and we can move forward with this project, because this is another project where we have a developer who's coming to us willing to offer some additional public benefit. We're getting that roundabout. Vincent Drive is a nasty intersection. We're getting that mixed-use sidewalk, the shared-use path. We need to get connectivity along Newton Bridge Road. We've had a lot of housing development in that Vincent Drive area. We've got the West Clocks development. We really need to get connectivity between those two sides of town. And I feel like this is an ideal spot to get some of that modest, middle-class, fee-simple housing that this community desperately needs.
Thanks, Commissioner. Anything else from the body? All right, we've heard the ordinance. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item 2, staff has requested that this item be held until August 5th. Can I hear a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
All right, I've got a motion to hold from Commissioner Hamby, second from Commissioner Fisher. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item 3 is the Superior Court judicial salary change resulting from the passage of House Bill 85. Do I hear a motion for this action?
So moved. Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Hamby.
And Mayor, there's an ordinance associated with this.
Thought there may be. Thank you. It says budgetary impact. This is one of those very rare opportunities when the state has introduced new money into the coffers of local government. Hard to believe, but true. Commissioner Hamby, have Attorney Hawkins read the ordinance. Anything?
Sure, by all means.
An ordinance to amend the code of Athens-Clarke County, Georgia with respect to a local supplement for the Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Athens-Clarke County and for other purposes.
Thank you. Commissioner Davenport, any follow-up as the second?
No, you said it, the state is paying for it, and we need to pay our judge as well.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item 4 is the intergovernmental agreement with the Athens Downtown Development Authority for the development of the surface parking lots on Jackson Street. And I think as noted earlier, this would be followed by a more specific development agreement at a future date. Commissioner Hamby's introduced a commission-defined options, so I'll turn to you for a motion.
Great, thanks. Yeah, I do have a commission-defined option out here that looks at some of the language in the IGA. And I wanted to put this together because I've heard the discussion and I've heard the concerns, and I know there's been a lot of promises made about where things are going and what's going to happen and how it's going to happen. And I'll say this IGA is the first step. After this, there's going to be a lot of other steps. There's got to go through planning. There's got to be another MOU. That will come back to this body. So there's a lot of further discussion about this particular project. But I wanted to put some language in the IGA from the beginning, from the get-go, so that we all understand whatever promises were made. This IGA and this language adds assurances to those promises. So if you'll bear with me for just a second, I'll read what it says. So one of the proposed changes is in section 3F. It's in red on this document for those wondering. It is online that you can look at and see. So it says the development agreement shall include a provision, or in conjunction with the execution of the development agreement, the unified government may adopt an ordinance or resolution to require that at least one half of the payment in lieu by core to the unified government should be utilized in census tracts numbers. You see the numbers there, 1305915 and 0900 and 13591400600. Those census tract areas are primarily across the river and primarily overlap with District 3 in a lot of ways, and within the TAD area there as well. So, and I believe it's probably a little bit of District 2 in there as well. The proposed, so again, I'll go back to that one for just a minute. We heard earlier that there would be roughly $7 to $8 million into a payment in lieu of with our inclusionary zoning. So half of that will go dedicated to these census tract areas. Proposed change 2 is a new section 3P.
reads, all the tax allocation districts, all of the tax allocation district incremental revenues received for the parcels associated with the project should be utilized for that portion of tax allocation district number 4, East, is titled East Downtown Tax Allocation District. This is on the eastern side of the North Oconee River for the entire duration of the TAD number 4. This provision shall be subject to amendment to the redevelopment plan and other documents associated with TAD number 4 as necessary and appropriate. And what this does is we heard earlier that there's an estimated $1.5 million to be paid into the TAD allocation district. And the speaker mentioned that $1 million would go to this area across.
Can we give Commissioner Hamby more time by
I'm
unanimous
just about
consent?
done. So, I'm sorry, I'm just about done. So what this does, it's going to be all of the $1.5 million for the TAD district. So, I don't know if this helps with the bigger picture, but I think for this specific project, I hope it does help provide those assurances that, we're listening, and we're going to do something about it, and we're going to get some things done. So, thank you.
There a second
I'll
for?
second.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't even get a second, and I
It's okay.
just started talking.
Second from Commissioner Ling.
Russell's going
Commissioner
to have a
Ling,
heart
over to you.
attack.
Yeah, I'm fine with Commissioner Hamby's CDO. I do have questions, though. I've had a lot of conversation with Hattie Whitehead the past couple days about the potential involvement of the Linden Committee and acknowledgement of communities that used to once existed on this area and the Center for Black Futures and Racial Justice. And I mean, it was my understanding that as the this IGA is just the first step. We will be seeing a development agreement that really cements more details of this project. And it was my understanding that this kind of language would go into that agreement. And I was hoping to then introduce further language that would direct cooperation between the ADDA and the Linden Group and the East Athens TAD Group, and particularly in the future of the Jackson Street Art Walk and those public plazas that the developer is so generously willing to dedicate easements along that Jackson Street frontage to create these public plazas that will complement that art walk, which is a SPLOST project, as well as the ADDA managed retail space that could benefit local businesses and creative enterprises. So I'm kind of torn about the full allocation of the TAD money because I kind of envision that some of that TAD money could go towards operating the Center for Racial Justice and Black Futures. And I'm wondering if the attorney has any input on that, if that's an allowable use of TAD funds.
Commissioner, we have to look at that, but my initial impression in terms of operating, using those TAD funds for that, usually TAD funds are used for physical things, infrastructure, things like that. So I don't think we could necessarily use TAD funds for operating. They maybe could be used for some sort of infrastructure improvements, things like that.
And just to make a quick note that the TAD funds that spin off of the new development on this site are not the only TAD
Yeah,
funds
I'm aware
in the
of that,
broader
yeah.
TAD. I mean, because obviously the value of the
Yeah.
existing parcels are increasing, and so that spins off new money.
Yeah. Well, I'll just say out loud that as we move forward into upcoming budget years, as that center becomes operational, which it's not right now, but we are dedicating some funds to get it there, I'd like us to somehow leverage that TAD money towards that center so we can assure that it's operational. But with that, I am agreeable to the language in this CDO, and I just want to talk a little bit about the project itself. I mean, a project like this is why we have an inclusionary zoning ordinance. It's precisely why an inclusionary zoning ordinance exists. Not every developer can do affordable housing for a whole lot of reasons. Either it might be an inappropriate location, or that's just not what they do. And that's why we have that payment in lieu option. And we are getting an extremely generous payment in lieu out of this. I believe it's somewhere in the ballpark of $8 million
that could be crucial to jump-starting the next phase of North Downtown Athens. And that is in addition to the ongoing TAD dollars. I also want to, this is also a reason we created a TAD in downtown, to assure that these projects, which are coming irregardless, they will come. We are going to see more student housing downtown. More students are coming. And y'all know me, I got into politics because I was so opposed to a particular student housing project at the Mark. This is not the Mark. This is something where we have developers who are here to work with us and create some public benefit. And of course, since the Mark has been created, we've gotten these tools that can assure that these large projects contribute to the public benefit in affordable housing. And the public spaces that this project involves are really impressive. I'm a design nerd, I'm an urban design nerd. And, in addition to the preservation of the Foundry building, we are not erasing history here. There is a chunk of history that is being preserved. The developers agreed to move the playground adjacent to Lay Park, which is a more appropriate place for it. Parents can maybe be at the pool while one kid swims and one kid plays on the playground. And we're not giving away public land. There's some misinformation out there that we are giving away public land. That is not the case. There is a property swap involved. ADDA is sitting on 2 undevelopable lots. And by swapping those lots and allowing the developer to utilize those lots, they are gaining a lot further down that can actually house a proper parking deck, which is desperately needed for downtown. So, and the revenues from that parking deck will continue to go toward. Can I get a little more time, possibly?
If you'd like
30
3 minutes, is
Yeah.
there unanimous consent for that?
Thank you. So yeah, there are ongoing revenues associated with this project in the TAD, in the parking deck revenues. I also want to remind people of our affordable housing strategy. Recommendations 3 and 4 of our affordable housing strategy relate particularly to this project. Number 3 talks about allocating non-tax-based revenue, saying that we have the latitude to allocate non-tax-based revenue, including land sales, in-lieu fees, and investment income within ACC government's control. We all voted on this affordable housing strategy about 1.5 years ago unanimously, and this is one of the recommendations in here. We were hoping to attract a project like this so we could take advantage of this recommendation and let it play out in the community. Number 4 talks about leveraging tax allocation districts and how the TAD money can be leveraged towards affordable housing and meeting our affordable housing needs. The mayor likes to talk about the tools in the toolbox. This hits a couple tools. We get a couple tools out of this. Our affordable housing crisis is complicated, but here we have the opportunity to exercise a couple mechanisms to make some small dent in it. I also want to remind folks that Urban 3, the presentation we saw from Urban 3, that very clearly showed us how much revenue is generated by these dense downtown projects. This is a case in point. And also addressing the student housing. We're going to have several hundred bedrooms of student housing. That is several hundred students who will not be living in our neighborhoods. We know that's a huge problem. We know they're pushing folks out of those neighborhoods, making living less affordable in those neighborhoods. If we can put them in a tower on the edge of downtown, we can pull them out of the neighborhoods. I'd rather see them here in a tower on the edge of downtown than in a tower in the middle of downtown, quite frankly. They're not adjacent to any other neighborhoods. The benefits to the North Downtown project associated with this are great because we do have those public-facing parks along Jackson Street and can have a benefit that will hopefully bring these communities together and assure that people from all backgrounds can have some place downtown.
Any other comments? Commissioner Myers.
Right. Listen, I respect the intent of my colleagues on this, but I'm not able to support this. This was not a transparent process, not only for commissioners, but for the public. Just learned about it a few weeks ago. I really don't know what questions were asked during these months and what weren't asked. For me, it appears to be a major deviation from the original IGA based on specific on a specific development already in the hopper. Well, the first IG wasn't quite like that. It also differs from the very open planning process for North Downtown Development Plan that laid out a vision for not only Bethel homes, but also the surrounding downtown area. And those surrounding areas originally included a vision for some affordable senior housing on this spot. Perhaps that wasn't doable, but I needed to understand that more than I have here. It also shows a new direction for our use of public lands, trading some public goods for the development of student housing, all happening, again, without really open discussion and this shift in a policy. You know, from my east side, it seems like we're turning more of downtown over to student housing with the help of local government property. I also have concerns about the financing, including the fiscal risk of the $5,000 a year for the parking deck. And to be clear, the pilot money for the housing can be done by other developers and is really not dependent on just this property. It can happen in other places. I'm sure there's other national luxury student housing developers who will find other pieces of property in Athens-Clarke County in the open market. I am not against dense student housing, and if this was just on the property that was bought for the graduate, I'd be for it, going along with it, but I am against using public property to help that happen, especially without a significant discussion among the commission and the public. You know, ultimately, I'm open to change, but I'm not sure about turning all of downtown into an extension of North Campus and a dormitory site, and that seems a little bit like the direction we're going in. So I will be voting against this. But thank you for letting me share that.
Commissioner Thorne.
Yes, I wanted to be very clear that I also did not know about this project until about 2 weeks ago, and actually asked Mayor Pro Tem to call an executive session. I'm very impressed, and I'm still impressed with this project. I do think that the transparency that has not been offered to this community is, I don't want to even say it sets precedents, because we've done this before, and we need to be transparent. Now, I'm not just talking about this project, but I'm also talking about the other things. There's folk on this commission right now, they have their own special interests, and they are not transparent. And the rest of the community has to put up with your stuff. But I probably will not be supporting this today, so much because I understand the concerns and fears that many of the speakers have brought before us. But I hope that those of us who want all this transparency now, when your issue come up, you be transparent too.
Commissioner Taylor.
I told Shamika I wasn't going to say anything. I feel like I said enough last week, but I just couldn't hold it. I appreciate the amendment to the IGA, and for transparent reasons, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be voted in the next time I run, because I'm very outspoken and I've rubbed a lot of people the wrong way, so why stop now? I appreciate the fact that the TAD that includes my district was included in the IGA. I spoke with my colleague last night for transparency and, you know, just so the political nerd can pick it up.
We spoke about this last night, and I thanked Commissioner Hamby for hearing my cries every Tuesday about affordable housing and not voting for projects such as this. And he told me he created it because he thought that it was the right thing to do. Whichever way it went, East Athens would be represented and we would get the dollars to get affordable housing. And so I appreciate that, that we were considered. I also told my colleague that I'm still not going to support it. I feel like I have to stay true to the needs of my communities. And this money, you know, if it passes, it's going to do great work in District 3. So I appreciate that. But I still don't. I feel like with this development, stop huffing and puffing. I feel like with this project, we are getting further and further away from the values of Athens. I feel like it's going to make downtown more student housing or student oriented and not so much family oriented. A lot of my residents don't come across the river, and that it's a saying, we don't come across the river. We don't come across the river because we aren't wanted or it's not welcoming across the river, and we're natives. And so I appreciate us being included because this amendment to the IGA says that this is still going to pass, but the marginalized communities will get something from it. So I do appreciate it, but I'm voting no. Okay.
Understood.
That's it.
All right, we'll do a roll call beginning with Commissioner Hamby. Oh, Commissioner Johnson.
I apologize. I just don't know where to start. I do not support this project either. I do agree with the lack of transparency, and just last Tuesday, 2 commissioners spoke out about the lack of notice, and one has agreed to continue not supporting it, and the other did a complete 180. And this is bigger than just getting an additional $7 million, because we need to frame it in the proper context. This is a major trade-off. And I have to say that all of the, I first respect everybody that came out tonight to speak. I always go out into my community, knock on doors, ask, neighbors, what do they need? And I want them to come to the meetings. I invite them to the meetings, so I appreciate everyone being here and all your comments. I have to say that there are some comments that I want to specifically address because I'm going to just say they got it honest. There were members who spoke about opposing the RTCC because of black, brown, disenfranchising low-income populations, and in the same vein did not think to connect that same argument to this project. This is the same thing. I respect anyone that can afford to purchase land and do the building that they want to do. That's fine. However, exchanging the public land, and for the record, where are my notes? For the record, ADDA does not own the lots. The IGA actually authorizes Athens-Clarke County government to convey, meaning transfer, the lots to the ADDA. So they do not own it yet, but if we approve it, they will. That takes away some of our oversight. I do not believe that they will replace that gym, the playscape. I don't think they're going to do that. I don't think they have that in mind. Let's talk about the parking deck. You have a free parking deck owned by the people, but you have a parking deck a block up the street that Athens-Clarke County residents have to pay for if they should decide to go into the courthouse and pay a parking ticket, apply for a marriage license. You have to pay for a parking while you're there. But the parking deck down the street, 200 spaces, is free to the people. And Jackson Street is for SPLOST. This sounds very much like a quid pro quo. I agree with my colleagues. There is something happening behind the scenes that even some of us don't know about. Some people may, but I don't. I don't approve it.
I don't know if it's going to be approved, but Mayor, you have often spoken about legacy. I think you're going to be the tiebreaker. So when in discussing legacy, shaping our community and future generations to be proud of, your vote is a legacy moment. I just wanted to end with that.
Any other? All right, I will note, before we do the roll call, beginning with Commissioner Hamby, I will make public apology in this room to colleagues for not bringing them into the process earlier. I will note that in the context of a very large, very complex organization in which there are many things happening at one time, and simultaneously an organization in which everybody has limited bandwidth to handle multiple activities at once. But fortunately, in this case, the two elected officials who serve on the Downtown Development Authority Board and the two elected officials whose districts join at this point were involved in this very early on and sort of understood the full gravity of the opportunity in front of us. And that gravity, as you've heard, includes critical affordable housing dollars, a critical opportunity for public parking, which is really how this emerged in 2020 in the earlier iteration of the Intergovernmental Agreement. The Downtown Development Authority from that point and still today has a waiting list of over 500 individual residents and business owners who need downtown parking. And so that drove this conversation from that point, really almost 6 years ago. And I recognize that given the land use plan we've had in place for over 20 years, since 2000, the property that has historically been History Village or the Graduate Hotel or today the Abacus can by right be student housing. And so while we are not in the student housing business, I'm certainly glad to leverage the largesse of those who would do student housing for public benefit. That, of course, includes the parking, the affordable housing, and spaces to complement our art walk. The commission was on a great retreat last year to Greenville, South Carolina, and at their Reedy Falls Park, a public-private partnership there provided below-market rent spaces for artists and artisans in that community, and we have exactly that kind of community here. And so the 5,000 square feet that are enumerated in the document in front of you is exactly that kind of space. So very excited about the opportunity. And I'll say lastly, as a parent who pushed his child many more hundreds of days than I could even count on the swings on that playground, and who sends him to open play basketball every weekend in Lay Park, if there was anything that would compromise the quality and integrity of that park, I wouldn't be supporting it. And we know that we're moving a brand new playscape to the space next to the swimming pool. And so I'm excited that there's going to be newer, shinier playscape there. And we'll have some new neighbors who are, again, very close to their destination point where their classes are. So I'm going to begin with a roll call with Commissioner Hamby, and we're going to move around.
Can I add something?
We've really had a lot of input.
No, we haven't.
I just
have
want to
2
clear
more
up some
times to speak.
misinformation. In the IGA agreement stipulates that CORE shall replace the playground on ACC property at a location approved by the unified government. So that playground will be replaced, and we get to decide where it goes.
We know that, Commissioner.
Let me just go on record and say, I need someone to take notes and present a report card at the end of the year, because there are a lot of things we say that we do not do. If it's a busy schedule, if it's compatibility or capacity or whatever those buzzwords are, we don't do what we say we are, do what we want to do, what we vote on. A lot of things don't pan out. If you think about the big picture, we get our agenda items on a Friday afternoon for a Tuesday meeting, and sometimes they're 600, 700, 800. The last one last Tuesday was 969 pages, and we are supposed to read that and be well informed. We try our best, but there are a lot of problems that we have behind the commission when it comes to just doing our job and doing it well for the people and being prepared and understanding. And do I think that playscape is going to be replaced and put in a different location? I still don't think so. There are so many things the unified government said they have been working on. We received $57 million in COVID relief funding, and we have nothing to show for it. We have no affordable housing. We still have homeless people. No one is talking about that. No one is talking about where these people are going to go. How can you approve one thing, how can you hate the University of Georgia and say 2 weeks ago, I am not going to approve anything because you know where I stand if we're not going to have an agreement with the University of Georgia, and then all of a sudden support this so fervently as if your life depended on it, but for the fact you might get something from it.
We'll begin with Commissioner Hamby.
Hamby?
Yes.
Davenport?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
Taylor?
No.
Wright?
Yes.
Fisher?
No.
Johnson?
No.
Culpepper?
Yes.
Myers?
No.
Thornton?
No.
5 yes, 5 no.
All right, moving yes. All right, item 5 is next on the agenda, and it is the SPLOST 2020 Project 9 Mobile Medical Service Facility.
Motion
And,
to approve.
Motion
to
from
approve.
Commissioner Hamby?
Second.
All right, got a motion from Commissioner Hamby. Second from Commissioner Myers. All right. So this will be agreement between the hospital authority and the unified government for this mobile medical lab, and they have some grant funds that they're ready to draw down. Commissioner Hamby, any further remarks?
Nope.
Commissioner Myers? Anyone else?
Yeah, I just.
Commissioner Fisher.
I just want, for the record, I think this is gonna be a benefit to our community with the medical mobile and be able to go to underserved communities that may not have, access to health care. So I think this is could be a win-win for our community.
All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, motion carries. Item 6, the culmination of the work we do for a year, is adoption of the FY26 operating and capital budgets, establishment of 2025 property tax rates, approval of schedules of fees and charges for FY26, and other purposes. And before I forget, I'm going to have Attorney Hawkins read the ordinance associated with this.
Yes, Mayor. An ordinance to provide the raising of revenues and the appropriation of funds for Athens-Clarke County, Georgia for the fiscal year 2026, beginning July 1st, 2025, and ending June 30th, 2026, to provide for the operations of government departments, boards, agencies, elected offices, and other governmental activities, to provide for the level of personnel authorized for various departments and agencies, to provide for a capital budget, to establish 2025 property tax rates, to establish compensation for the charter officers, to establish rates and structure of fiscal year 2026 health insurance programs, to establish fees and charges, to repeal conflicting ordinances, to provide effective dates, and for other purposes.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Attorney Hawkins. All right, I'll ask for a motion to be on the floor.
Motion to approve Myers budget?
I've got a motion from Commissioner Davenport for the Myers CDO. Is there a second?
Yes.
We got a second from Commissioner Myers. All right, Commissioner Davenport, you may begin.
No comment?
Commissioner Myers.
Yeah, I would like to make some comments here, and I'd like to ask my colleagues Grace if I go over 3 minutes just a bit. So first, I want to thank Commissioner Hamby for the budget ideas presented last Thursday, some of which are incorporated into the new Myers Link Davenport CDO. There are a lot of similarities between the two budgets, and I just wish we had been able to bring forth one budget together. Both budgets do some great things. They give equity pay raises to law enforcement. They fund the library, public defenders, DA's office, courts, the police, code enforcement, and provide one-time funding for the food bank. And very importantly, both budgets add $1 million to our affordable housing fund. However, there are some differences. I'm okay with using the SPLOST funds for parks and for the courthouse. That makes sense, and I've incorporated that into the CDO that we're submitting. What's not in the Myers Link Davenport CDO, but is in the Hamby version, is the use of $5 million of T-SPLOST unallocated interest funds, and this is why it's not in there. The majority of the projects on the T-SPLOST 2018 and 23 lists are not completed. They will need more funds to be built as proposed. Here are some of these projects. Sidewalks and multi-use paths on Cherokee Road, Riverbend Road, Jefferson River Road, Barber Street, Lexington Road, the Atlanta Highway, Timothy and Mitchell Bridge, Sycamore Drive, Westchester, Stonehenge.
Then there's the West Broad Roundabout and its sidewalks, the East Athens Neighborhood Project with its sidewalks and bus structures and light projects, and similar items for the North Athens Transportation Project. We have seen costs go up again and again. Where will we find the money to complete these projects, or some of these projects at least, if we use that $5 million in interest now? And what are we getting in Hamby's budget for that use of T-SPLOST? First, we're getting a millage rate reduction of 0.2. That's not nothing, but the millage rate does have, changing the millage rate like that does have some long-term serious consequences. It reduces our tax digest not only for this year, but in subsequent years as well. So how will we pay for the staff for a new East Side Library? How will we pay for the staff for the West Side Park that comes after that? How will we give pay increases for employees in the 3 pay studies that are being conducted now? As public commenters have said, using T-SPLOST funds to make this year's budget more palatable to constituents seems to be like robbing Peter to pay Paul. Second, we're getting more leaf and limb service from Hamby, that budget. But there are problems there that I'm hoping Commissioner Davenport will address. But we're not getting needed funds for the juvenile court, nor the special events budget that many talked about this evening. And they are in the Myers-Link Davenport budget. Third, in the latest Hamby budget just released this morning, certain commission districts, not mine, nor Davenport's, nor Link's, are getting $1 million of traffic calming that don't necessarily follow our new residential traffic management program guidelines that we spent an awful long time working on last year. But to wrap up, the CDO budget I'm asking colleagues to vote on, it addresses community needs like safety, affordable housing, and fair pay for Athens-Clarke County staff. But it is also fiscally responsible and transparent for not only today's Athens, but the Athens of next year and the year after. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Link?
Yeah, I want to thank Commissioner Myers for participating in the budget process and being inclusive and in the spirit of compromise, you know, including many of Commissioner Hamby's ideas. I am extremely disturbed with the idea of robbing the coffers of T-SPLOST to pay for earmarked special, what seem to be political favors. We have processes that we've voted on to determine when and how these projects are executed. We have citizen committees overseeing our list of T-SPLOST projects, and it's really disturbing to me that we've not consulted with those committees in proposing to rob the coffers. Over and over and over again, our T-SPLOST and SPLOST projects come in over budget. We can no longer rely on federal funding to fill gaps with the Trump regime. Construction costs have escalated, and they're escalating even more so into the foreseeable future due to tariffs and also a deported workforce. We're going to see labor costs go up and fewer workers available to execute these projects. It's certain that we're going to see these costs rise. And we also we've had 3 pedestrian deaths this year alone. Halfway into the year, 3 people have died on our streets. Those T-SPLOST pedestrian safety projects might not get finished. I don't want to see that blood on my hands in a budget that has robbed the coffers of T-SPLOST. I feel like it's a dangerous precedent, and it's a broken promise to the community that have voted on those projects, on those T-SPLOST projects, and not to mention the committees that have spent countless hours figuring out what to put on that referendum. And I would like to offer a friendly amendment to Commissioner Myers' budget. I've heard the folks who've come to the podium talking about the Real Crime Time Center, and I was not very supportive of, additional full funding for that from the beginning, not only because I feel like UGA should step up and offer some contribution to our public safety budget, as is done in university communities throughout the country,
But I am increasingly wary of the surveillance culture, and in light of the events of this past weekend in LA and events that come to light where federal law enforcement is increasingly cooperating with local law enforcement in efforts to politically persecute people, I really fear, state or federal laws.
Additional time for Commissioner Lee?
Can I just, a couple more minutes? I fear state or federal laws that might mandate that our ACC police share that surveillance information with federal agents that could execute unjust, unconstitutional political persecutions in our community. So I'd like to remove that funding for the Real-Time Crime Center, which would even out the millage rate. We could just level out the millage rate. And if there is any fund balance that would be left over, I think it would be around $40,000, put that towards the special events.
Commissioner Davenport, you made the motion. Are you amenable to that amendment?
I'm amenable.
Excuse me?
So essentially, sorry, just doing the math in my head, it won't increase the mill rate.
Yeah, no mill rate increase.
So we're evening out and we'll stay where we are. Yes, I'm amenable to that.
Commissioner Myers, do you want clarification of the motion?
Right, so does it have to come back, just a point of
Well,
order here?
You're the seconder, so.
I thought I was the original. Oh, I wasn't, he spoke first.
Commissioner
Man, I
Davenport
can't
was
keep track tonight. Yeah, no, just to be clear, the millage rate in that CDO has not changed. So I think with that amendment, I think the better thing to do would be I think it reduces then the reduction of the fund balance to about $10. I mean, not $10, it's probably 10,000. Maybe I think it's not, I think it's 10,000. So it would just be using $10,000 more of that. I'm amenable to that simply because of, needing to learn more about it. I know this is in the works, and this would just be returning to the additions that are already in Mayor Gertz's budget, along with the money that was allocated last year as well. Wasn't there money last year as well? So it would implement the Real-Time Crisis Center. But I really want to keep our focus on the rest of the budget and the impact on the T-SPLOST.
So to be very clear, this simply reduces the new funding introduced in both CDOs back to the $80,000 increase that was in
Right.
my budget.
Yeah.
All right, Commissioner, anyone else before I return to Commissioner Davenport? Commissioner Fisher?
Yeah, I'd like to make a substitute motion. I'd like to make a motion to accept the Hamby budget.
Second. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Commissioner Taylor. Thank you.
Got a substitute motion from Commissioner Fisher and second from Commissioner Hamby.
I think Commissioner Taylor may have seconded before I got to it.
Thank you, Commissioner Taylor. Commissioner Fisher, go ahead.
Yeah, we sit here and talk about transparency and people not notified, and, we just went through this with this downtown development. So I think we as commissioners need to be respectful about when we say things are not transparent. I think when we look at our budget and what we're trying to bring to the table for this community, for the SPLOST areas that we're trying to get those funding to, most of those are African-American communities, which have always in the past have been left off SPLOST projects. They don't get things in those communities. So when we do that and try to make those communities whole, we get criticized for it. So for me, and how we do SPLOST projects, I mean, here we got SPLOST project that was 2011, we haven't done anything. And the problem with what we got is we got a process problem. It doesn't make sense where our citizens vote on these projects, and then we 5 years down the road still waiting, trying to collect tax dollars. Something wrong with that process. And give me a little bit of grace here, Mayor. When I worked for the school district, the SPLOST department reported to me. You know how we built 2 schools within 3 years? We went and borrowed that money up front, used those tax dollars, and paid those bonds off. The way we do it, we collect taxes, and of course, price is gonna escalate. If you got a $30 million project 5 years ago, of course it's gonna double. So we need to work on our processes when we look at our SPLOST projects, and our community need to know that. It doesn't make sense for us to sit here time and time again, trying to complete projects, and it's 5 years. At 2011, that's way too long for us to still have SPLOST projects, or have money in those projects. So for me, money that we put towards those different communities, to support those communities, Commissioner Taylor has been saying for the last 2 years, we want traffic calming to no help. So I think for me, I think it was the right thing to do, and I'm not going to apologize for it.
Commissioner Taylor, you're second, so I'll turn to you.
Yeah, I agree with everything my colleague said. I think that my community would be, and as well as my T-SPLOST representatives, that they'll be very appreciative to see that one of the roads that have been missed out constantly, including other roads that didn't even make the cut, is included in this budget, and it's not to be any other way. And if you want to say is giving favors, well, I would like to say that my community have been left favorless for decades. So to get one of my roads on here for speed bumps, when I have the police speeding up and down the street, pedestrians speeding up and down the street with children trying to get back and forth, you can shake your head unless it's the boulevard community, then you go all out. But I agree with everything that Commissioner Fisher said. I agree with the budget. One thing I will say that I don't agree with is the real-time crisis center, because my district is full of police day in and day out. I would advocate for those funds to be used towards something different, but since the budget is already drawn up, I get that. But I do want it to be on record that I don't really rock with funding the police like that. I feel like we should get mental health services, and that money should go to, the 80,000 or the 800,000 that was in the mayor's budget. It was enough, but I see that it's in both proposals, so I won't kick against the prick about that. But next year, Chief Salters just be on notice. Look, what a camera.
Commissioner Hamby.
Sure. Thank you, Mayor. I appreciate it. And hopefully we'll meet the clock time here. And I appreciate the folks making the motion and the second as well. Also appreciate, as I said at the last meeting, the hard work staff put into putting together a budget, and the mayor putting together a budget that we could work with and try to put what we see as representatives also within the budget. And within this budget, hopefully, I'll get into what it's there and how it developed, but certainly the elements that we've put in here focus on the service, safety, and savings components of a budget. Certainly the service with trash collection and also the code enforcement helping us out on weekends to do things where we do get a lot of calls from our constituents, and the sheriff being able to fully fund what he's asking for so that he can have some dollars there, not only to meet the equity pay associated right now, but also to help recruit. We do that also with corrections and probation services, so that they get started right away and not wait until half the year. I'm just going to, maybe I've been doing this too long or whatever, probably too long, but and Mayor, you know this too. Over the years, we look at these and we get these budgets, and a lot of time there's a lot of budget. I guess I'll call it siloization going on. Siloization. I'm not saying it right, but you'll know what I mean. And I guess what I do mean is that you have all these different buckets, all these different pots that you put everything in. And really we ought to be looking at a big picture. How do these buckets and these pots that we put things in work together to get things done for the betterment of our community. And that's what we're trying to do here. I just want to correct some misconceptions that have been said. We're not robbing Peter or Paul or Mary or Joseph to take anything out of anywhere. All of the monies that we're just reallocating. It's going from unallocated interest to one of the projects, eligible projects on those lists. Last year, we heard a lot about infrastructure, and we're not hearing about it much this year, but hopefully we are by allocating almost $1 million more than what was in the mayor's budget. And so I say all that to say, all of these unallocated interest is still within those programs, within that SPLOST program, within that T-SPLOST program. There's no legal mechanism that allows us to take a SPLOST program or T-SPLOST program out of that program and put it into the general fund. There's just not. But what we saw, and when you look at the big picture, and when you try not to do budget siloization, if we saw that in the mayor's...
Mr. Hamby, would you like more time for the body?
If you don't mind, I'm sorry, I'm going to be quiet in just a few minutes. But when you look in the mayor's budget and you see $2 million in payment, which I'm glad it's there, but then you see, hey, wait a minute, we've got an opportunity over here to also have some pavement maintenance within the T-SPLOST program. As a matter of fact, there's another, some unallocated interest that could go towards helping that. So when you look at that, you realize, well, okay, we have these priorities and these needs over here that can only come from this fund, but we have these needs over here that can satisfy that pavement maintenance. So you get it fixed and you get it done. And, you know, so all the money stays there. All the money's going to stay there and earn even more interest. It's not going to go anywhere until we start putting the pavement maintenance down and putting the traffic calming measures down, which we do have it done within the fiscal year 26 because we want it done. And let me just say this too about interest. And this is, you know, it's interesting to watch this and how interest works. So out of all our funds, we've got $333 million in all of the SPLOST and T-SPLOST funds together. That doesn't include funds that come in, general fund that we invest in, the pension fund. I mean, you know, as a matter of fact, last year, if y'all remember, when you're looking at budgets working together, last year we took money from the pension credit, used part of that money to help us meet our pension obligations. In the past, we've used fund balance to help us meet our budget obligations. So there's things you can do, big picture, to budget like that. But out of the $333 million, we take that money and we invest it in a pool with a lot of other counties in the state of Georgia. Right now, that fund is paying 4.38%. Good percentage rate, good rate of investment. So, you know, just assume that we don't spend that $333 million next year, which we probably won't, or I hope we do, because if we're getting interest, that means nothing's getting done. So, but $333 million at 4.38% is roughly $14.5 million. So y'all, we could rob Peter, rob Mary, and rob Joseph, and we'd still have next year $14.5 million to allocate to projects that may or may not be underfunded. We've also got another T-SPLOST, I'm about done. We've also got another T-SPLOST program coming up. We got a citizen committee looking at projects. Some of the projects that are pre-allocated, for example, and we'll have to have a bigger discussion about that, are some of the projects that are on T-SPLOST 2023. So all that to say, y'all, I think this is a good budget. This is a really good budget. It's one of the better budgets I think we've had in a long time because it gets everything. I listened to what everybody wanted. Melissa, I heard you say you wanted affordable housing. I heard other people say that too.
Commissioner Hamby,
and I'm about done, 30 seconds. And what I try to do, I think y'all see this over the years, is what I try to do is I do sit and listen. And I never try to put out there what I want. I'm listening to y'all, what y'all want, what y'all need. And I hope I've incorporated that in here, and appreciate everybody's bearing with me there for the extra time. Oh, one other thing. Well, Commissioner Wright may bring this up about the residential solid waste. Thank you.
Got Commissioner Thornton, Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Wright, Commissioner Davenport and Commissioner Myers.
Dang.
Got plenty of folks on
You've been
tap.
taking notes.
Commissioner Thornton.
I wouldn't have taken that much time if I'd known that many people were waiting, so I'm sorry.
I'm definitely supporting Commissioner Hamby's CDO, and I'm supporting it because my district is playing catch up. Since I have been on this district, since I've been elected, I have advocated and begged for this commission to pay attention to District 9, and at that time, it was District 2. We were always left out, always left out. And now that we're in a budget, it's not even that much money compared to it's not even that much money per budget, per district. But now, it's become so political. It's so transparent. How many meetings do you have with, and I think some of the speakers talked about you need to go to the user groups. When the user groups, in my opinion, only represent one group of people, it's no going to you. So again, I said I was going to be quiet, but it bothers me because some folk are playing victim now, and it's not right. It's just not right. If we're talking about equity, lift up everybody. Everybody wants to talk about equity, but when we start doing it, it's something wrong with it. It's political. It's nobody asked me what I wanted in my, nobody asked you because you already got everything in your district. So I don't think that this is fair. Some of the social media stuff is not fair because when it comes to the low-income communities of color, it's only recently that I have seen some changes. And I do not remember this kind of debate every time I see a new bike lane, a bike path somewhere. And it's not that I'm against bike paths, but I'd rather see somebody be able to cross a street, have a pavement, and be safe. That's it. A bike path on Rock Springs Street? Come on, y'all. Those folk don't ride no bikes in Rock Springs public housing area.
Commissioner, do you have anything else pertinent to this?
I got a lot to say, but I told him I was going to be good.
Commissioner Johnson.
So you hear her frustration that permeates throughout most of us back here. Last-minute decisions and last-minute information, crucial information for well-informed policy making is not afforded to us. Some of these opportunities we do not know about in enough time to get ourselves on the list for our own districts. Yesterday, I met with 35 to 45 students, middle school age students at the Boys and Girls Club, and talked to them about serving the public and the importance of public service, and also that there is a such thing as commission, and we work for them. And one of the things I shared with them is, you know how the government cares about your community by three things: when you enter your neighborhood, what your streets look like. If you have sidewalks, you need them, but you don't have them. And if you need lighting, but you don't have proper lighting in your neighborhood. That's how you tell how the government thinks about your neighborhood. Now, I'm going to own it. This was a last-minute decision, but for the folks that pointed that out, I ask you to please keep paying attention. We do a lot of last-minute stuff, unfortunately, and I am going to accept the Hamby budget. There is funding in there for District 6, and there are two neighborhoods that asked me last May, April and May, when I was door knocking, running for this seat right here. They asked, what could I do? Because they're not getting what they want. I don't know why. I don't know if it was a contact thing or if it was just a wait and see thing, but they weren't getting the services that they want. Stonehenge asked for, they've been on the list for speed humps, traffic calming for a super long time. And what did our organization do? We have temporary speed bumps, which is okay, but we've had them all year. How long? When does temporary end? This funding, I accepted it. I did. I need it. My residents need it. Stonehenge, Sartain Drive, they need it. So I'm going to accept it. And
That's that. Saxon Woods Drive, they put speed humps on one road, but the second road within the neighborhood, which is Fredericks Drive, they didn't. It causes an unintentional, like race car lane, because people avoid the road with the speed humps, and they start racing around the streets. I ended my speech to these young folks yesterday by asking them, if you could change one thing in your community, what would you change? And the littlest old thing just said, he was, tiny, probably 45 pounds, fifth going to sixth grade, said, as quietly as he could, I want you to work on making homeless shelters bigger and the food tastes better. When I say I care about people first. And so, yes, I did accept the bike lanes. I'm not the bike lanes, but the traffic calming
Additional time for
funding.
Commissioner
Thank you.
Johnson.
That's all I have. Oh, no, one more thing. I'm so sorry. This process has been a laborious process unnecessarily. To make these very big decisions and talk to other folks about their budget in 3 to 4 week time period and scrunch all of these very important meetings in a 10-day period. That's not right. We heard you. I heard you. I got your emails. I don't disagree. I recommend going forward that we establish some type of a budget group or budget committee or advisory, that we have 3 or 4 commissioners get together 3 or 4 times a year to look at our budget, just to be abreast of some of the trends, some of the things, and that we can relate to our colleagues just 2 or 3 times a year. It's really hard to get to April 30th, get the budget, and then start at 90 miles per hour and have meeting after meeting after meeting after meeting. It's a lot to ask, and it's just really not doing the best service for our community to make decisions so quickly.
Commissioner
That's
Wright.
all.
Thank you. One of my topics is related, very similar to what Commissioner Johnson just said, so I'm going to start with that one. And it involves a huge amount of money that we did increase for the special events process and that grant process. And I would recommend that during the year, we look at the hotel motel, which that qualifies for, and see what extra funds are coming in that area, so that when next year's grant process, I think that it's already been turned in for special events, we would have more money to allocate from the hotel motel. I just wanted to put that on there because that is another touch point further in the year before the end. I want to first speak to the timing and how our process had needed to change this year because of the state level software. The property tax notices couldn't go out at the timeline that we made our initial May budget discussion meetings, and we had to move our Taxpayer Bill of Rights 1, 2, and 3, this being the third one today. And so I think to be pointing at each other about when you got the budget out in front of people and when you didn't, all of us have been working on a different timeline. And I get it if a commissioner or a group of commissioners want to put their budget out before we've even had one Taxpayer Bill of Rights. That's their prerogative. And if it seems like the others, that things are in the last minute, it's because they are. And we have been working with the actual dollars at a later point because of the software delay, and working from the numbers that were actual was really helpful for us to get to where this budget, currently on the table, on the floor table, no, I don't want to table it, it's on the floor, is with a millage reduction. And it's an improvement in services for those of us who have the leaf and limb services. And I do want to point out, too, that a 30% raise in the mandated roll cart service is a lot to expect for our community members. And the budget that's right now is just a 10% increase that we can do in 3 years and maintain the goal that started out with the 30% tipping fee that was recommended, but not in this budget. This budget is 10% to do it in increments. When that goes out, it's going to raise the rates of the private haulers
so that those who are using the private haulers are going to be seeing an increase, but not at a 30% increase. So a small millage reduction, I think, is appropriate for all the uncertainty that a lot of our community members have for a variety of reasons. Commissioner Hamby already pointed to and spoke, so I'm not going to pick up on that, but the whole, how the SPLOST works and the interest earned and how the topics are related to
Commissioner
what
Wright,
was
would you like
on there.
additional time?
Just a little bit, but 3 million, if not a little bit more, is what comes in every month in those pennies for E-SPLOST, T-SPLOST, SPLOST, LOST, all those buckets, all those pennies. I'm not sure the exact dollar, but we're talking about a 3 million amount that comes in every month. So this stuff is growing and it's coming in, and we do need to improve on moving the projects out faster, but this budget is, I think, addresses a lot of good points in it, the one that's on the table. Hamby Commission defined option.
Commissioner Davenport.
Yes, you might well just go ahead and turn off that clock, because I just think during the budget that we all need to express ourselves. And I do apologize. We made a last minute adjustment that I didn't think it thoroughly through, but I understand the need of our community. Well, some people in our community who want to reduce the funding of the RTCC. As a black person, I see that there's a benefit, but I read the numbers wrong, thinking that it would lower the mill rate. But anyway, there's just a lot to unpack. So I'm not against Hamby at all. Well, not at all, but ETAL budget. And I really do support Myers' budget, and I hate that we do have to go to an increase. But as a person who owns a small business, who look at like down the road, 5 years, 6 years down the road, and it's not me trying to be an alarmist. I'm just dearly concerned about how we're going to finance our operations down the road. So we got 3 pay studies that we already paid for. They're on the way. We'll be finishing completing those by the end of the year. And one of the biggest thing I've said this my last time I ran was that I really want to pay our employees well, not market rate, but above market rate, because one of the reasons why we've had trouble with leaf and limb is because we can't keep people staffed. And so also when it comes to the T-SPLOST, so like I get that, we're benefiting people in our community, but we created this process years ago, a long process of saying we want to be equitable, not just for one district, but for everybody. And I've some concerns that, like, for example, Cherokee Road, we allocated $2.7 million to do the sidewalks over there, but those extra interest funds help pay for those escalated costs when it comes to construction. So like, concrete may cost $2 when we decided, for those projects, but it's like $5 now. So those extra income, those extra interest funds are much needed to complete some of these projects. And that's one of the reasons why some of these projects are back in 2011 is because, costs have escalated, we have changed priorities, and we moved some stuff around. But, if it was up to me and I could do the budget, I would not increase the millage rate or decrease it at all and leave it the same. But, I mean, our community is growing. We have more people coming in, and we have more.
Commissioner Davenport, would you like an additional allocation of time?
Please. We have more services. So I'm begging my colleagues, I know how this is going to run, how this is going to play out. Just when we do our retreat in the fall, let's please look at cuts, because we're going to have to cut something. Even with the 30% increase in like road carts, the extra $2 to $3 that solid waste is asking. If you look at the prior budgets, the machinery, the backhoe, whatever, the dumpsters and all that stuff, they're failing like crazy. And we had to allocate funds last year, and the year before, to help pay for those services. And last year we added a new position for composting for $34,000. What I'm trying to get at,
solid waste is so bad right now that they are an enterprise fund, so they pay for themselves, that we had to allocate money from our general budget to go into solid waste to pay for those services. And when you look at our street management, our pavement, neighborhood, perfect example. GLC just passed this earlier this year. We have 3.1 miles, which is remarkable, of unpaved roads. 3.1 miles. Total cost to pave those were probably around $22 million. We are almost 20 years away from getting those roads, 3 miles of road completed because of our budget. So it's not, and this is for my constituents and as well as to my colleagues. And I tried, and I've been told some of y'all, like, I have a list of cuts, but this body didn't cut anything, and we're reducing the mill rate, which scares me because I really want to pay our employees, and I really am concerned about, future endeavors and future projects that are not funded, and just, it is not robbing Peter to pay Paul, but we're moving money around for projects that were allocated for and using that interest to not cover, in my view, that we just need to be cautious about the funds that we have available for future projects and projects that are existing. And we need to be considerate of, this county is growing. If we're accepting 30,000 people, that's 30,000 homes, 30,000 cars, that's 30,000 roads, trucks, solid waste, pickup, leaf and limb, and all that stuff. So that's it.
Got Commissioner Myers.
Finally, just to clarify, the $90,000 in the special events in the Myers-Davenport link, one is from the hotel motel tax, so I want to clarify that. The second thing is, Commissioner Fisher, I guess I'm not supposed to talk to him, but the budget that we're putting forth actually does use the SPLOST 2011 funds. And the reason why that made perfect sense, and I thought, man, Commissioner Hamby's smart on this one, because most of the projects are all spent and there's unallocated interest. You can put it in for the leisure services and free up the money from the general fund. That made perfect sense to me. Made perfect sense to use the 2020 SPLOST for the courthouse because the courthouse renovation is part of the project. Total sense. The only problem I had was the T-SPLOST. And in the end, if all the projects were done, I'd be fine with that as well. But there are a lot of projects in those programs that have not been built. And they're not they're not bike projects, they're sidewalk projects all over the community. The other thing, and someone can explain this to me later, I must be missing something, but having the $1 million to the neighborhood traffic management program, again, not necessarily against that, but it seems to be just used in these 5 areas, and one of them is Homewood Hills and Kingswood, really don't seem too struggling. But according to the way this is written, I'm thinking that the traffic management list, which was made by looking at speed, volume, crashes, and et cetera, and using big data, there are other roads in the top 20 in many of my colleagues' districts. I'm not even mentioning mine. Morse Road over in District 3, Cooper Road, Fairway Road, Berkland Drive, North Bluff, Spring Circle, Reed, Jennings Mill, Johnson, Poplar. These are all in the top 25. So, I think that this list also does address this, and I'm a little bit confused if the 1 million, the way it's written, it looks to me like it has to be just used in those 5 areas and can't go into these other areas. So that, obviously that'll get worked out afterwards, but that's something I just do not, I don't understand the mechanics of it there. So, and that's all I have to say. I'm ready for us to move on and vote for this.
Call the question.
So I'll call the question.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
There's a motion to call the question. Is there a second?
Yes, second.
There's a motion to call the question, second from Commissioner Wright. We do need a roll call on the vote to call the question. So,
On the vote to call the question?
Yes.
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Oh.
I think it's another ordinance, John. There is for Commissioner Hamby's CDO. There is.
So you need an additional bit of language. So can we read that after calling the question? Okay.
Yes, sir.
We'll come back to that.
Yes.
Yes.
Thornton?
Yes.
Wait a minute, who made the motion to call
No,
the
we're,
question?
we're calling the question.
And Patrick,
so
I thought, made
the
the motion.
vote is to call the question. I think
Yeah.
Shamika just got backed up. So we'll begin again. The vote right now is to call the question. Commissioner Myers.
Yes.
Thornton,
Yes.
Hamby.
Yes.
Davenport.
Yes.
Link,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Wright,
Yes.
Fisher,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Culpepper.
Yes.
10 yes.
All right, thank you. It's very late in the game. You know, it's evident sort of the way this is lined up. Do have one friendly request of the motioner and the seconder. There are two line items for juvenile court judge that are not included in that final budget. Would they be willing to include that and use fund balance for those purposes?
They're the seconders in the.
Let me ask you, I thought when we looked at the budget, we was gonna do it mid-year.
That's what the intent was for the judge, but like they have in the past, the juvenile court judge would typically come back to us and we would do a mid-year budget amendment. I think it'd be cleaner that way.
Yeah,
But that's not here.
Well, it's not there because they haven't made I'm talking about
They made a FOIA
mid-year.
request. Now, often what we do is, at this point, we pre-designate that we're going to begin funding something third quarter of the fiscal year, January 1.
Well, there's nothing to prohibit the judge from coming back and asking us to do that during the middle of the year, as they've done in the past, several years. Actually, they've come back and made that request. So
What's your preference though, Mayor? You want us to fund it now?
My preference would be fully funding for these actions. I just know that the volume of activity in that court has increased dramatically, and recognize that they also, you know, like a lot of courts around the state, around the country, in fact, had been reliant upon some ARPA funds up until now. And so if we did nothing right now, there'd be some cessation of activity in that court.
Well,
There'd be a
technically-
reduction in capacity in that court.
technically, we've called the question already, so it should immediately go to the vote. I'm going to turn to our parliamentarian out of
As
the
chair,
audience.
I'm just raising the point.
Okay, I think a budget amendment during the middle of the year would be
Question.
But I have a question.
Wait a minute, we're in the middle of roll call.
No, we ended roll call.
Yeah.
Roll call is
Process
finished.
question.
Yes. I wondered, can you explain why it wasn't included in your budget?
Yes, absolutely, Commissioner. So my budget was predicated on a little over $1 million less revenue. And so, you know, mine was a pretty tight budget as a result. And fortunately, we got some new revenue numbers subsequent to the release of my budget.
Okay.
All right, the question's been called. I do have to have Attorney Hawkins read some additional ordinance language.
Yes, Mayor, and this is a second ordinance associated with the motion that's on the table. An ordinance to amend the transportation special purpose local option sales tax and the special purpose local option sales tax program budgets so as to provide additional funding for capital projects and for other purposes.
All right, and the motioner was Commissioner Fisher, so we'll begin with Commissioner Fisher.
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Culpepper,
Yes.
Myers,
No.
Thornton,
Yes.
Hamby,
yes.
Davenport,
No.
Link,
No.
Taylor,
Yes.
Wright.
Yes.
We got 7 yes, 3 no.
All right, motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Got a motion from Commissioner Wright, second from Commissioner Taylor. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries.
No.